Hello, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, super scary, Mark, super scary, dark clouds and storms. Yes, hello. Welcome, welcome. It is, I nearly said Sunday then. Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. It's Friday. It's time for me to continue building our little build for eModels here. The Imperial Knight Preceptor CANIS Rex. If you've been watching these streams so far, I'm getting all this built up in advance of being able to paint it in the coming weeks or next couple of months for eModels. So we've been getting the build ongoing over the last few weeks. Now, very quickly before we get going, of course, this is an eModel stream on the eModels.co.uk YouTube channel. And of course, eModels.co.uk is your one-stop shop for all your model making needs. So make sure there is a link in the description below, but make sure to go to eModels and get all the things. If you need something, they've got it, and if you haven't got it, you don't need it. So that's as simple as it is. It doesn't get more complicated than that. So big hello to everyone. Now, I do have to panic if I sound a bit wibbly wobbly or more than normal, because I looked at my watch and it was 2:30 and I thought it was 1:30, and I went, oh Lord, oh dear, oh lorks a mussy, I must quickly set up the entire live stream from scratch because I haven't done it because I thought it was 1:30. So we may be looking a bit rough and ready around the edges and a bit ropey, and contrast might be on and the colour balance might be a bit off because, yeah, I didn't realise it was 2:30, so I've had a very, very quick setup. I had like literally 5 minutes to get everything up and running and ready, so yeah, it's a bit chaotic. Anyway, welcome one and all. We're going to be carrying on with the build. As I say, we've been working on this so far. We have so far assembled the gams. We've built the legs. We've got, hang on, I'm just adjusting something. We've built the cockpit with Sir Hector Cerberin sat in the cockpit, but this is all disassemblable for painting later on. We've of course built Sir Hector Cerberin himself, the princeps of this knight, and we have built a big chunk of the torso with the wibbly wobbly head there, which is still movable, and we've got some of the carapace done. And we had a bit of a fun time last week trying to build the flippy flappy door. That was fun. Now we've got lots left to do. We've got to still build at the moment the laser impulsor, which is the great big doobie weapon on the right arm, the big laser weapon, and we've of course got to build the slappy hand of Slappity that goes on the other side, and then it's just a few little bits to stick on. Now you notice here we haven't put any of the armour on it. I do have some of the armour pieces here separate in a tub. I'm keeping these off because I need to keep them separate for painting later on, so I'm not gluing them on now. So if you've never made the Imperial Knight before, don't glue the armour on. Don't do it yet. Do it later. You can do, but trust me, it's going to make life easier if you do it later. So where are we up to? So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to start on the big las impulsor, the big weapon. But before we get going, let's have a quick shout out to all the folks that are in chat. I'm going to put these bits over here out of the way. Let's have a quick shout out to all the lovely people who are in chat. Now, I don't expect a lot of people to be in chat today because, of course, it is a Friday and some people are back at work. So, welcome to anybody who is with us. God, it looks really overexposed over there, doesn't it? Well, I'm not going to fuss with the lighting and the overexposure and stuff now because we're live now. As long as you can see what I'm doing and you can see Guthorn, that's all he cares about. You can see him because he's monitoring the chat. Don't forget, by the way, I do have the chat here in front of me. You're on here. This is you look at you, so you can see yourself on the internet. If you want to catch my attention, I will have my lenses of seeing on while I'm working, which makes all this go blurry. So if you want to get my attention in chat, please put your comment in big fat capital letters so I have a chance to see it standing out amongst the crowd of words as it goes up and down. If you want to at me, you can do, but make sure you at Model Making Guru. You can see there you get the little orange thing around my name, so it tells me there's a comment for me because I'm signed into chat as me, not as eModels. Or if you really want to, you can do a super chat by clicking the little dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. That makes your comment in a big coloured box, and I can't possibly miss your comment then. But you can put them in capitals or do the at me if you want to get my attention. But please do, because we're here for 3 hours. This is interesting if you want to know how to build an Imperial Knight. It's a bit of fun, but really all we're doing is hanging out and chat, having a good time, while I just happen to be building something and waffling on greatly. So let's have a quick look in chat. We have William Rayborn and Wendy Hickson are both in. Welcome to both of you. We have Model Making Guru. Don't know who that is. Some spoon of other. Don't know who he is. Candygram for Mongo is in. Welcome, Candygram. Mark Shallard says, afternoon, guys. Welcome, Mark. Not seen you in chat before on one of these streams, so welcome. Candygram for Mongo. Wendy Hickson. Dad at Scaly Models, of course, is one of your moderators. As is apparently... That's weird. And me, apparently, yes. There was one comment I put on where I wasn't showing as a moderator. Both me and Dad and Plastic Monkey as well in chat. We're all three of you are moderators for the chat. So make sure you behave, because if you behave in chat, the moderators are lovely. But if you cross them, they cut you into little tiny cubes, and then they dice them into even smaller tiny cubes, and then they set them on fire, but then they feed them to the ants. And then they feed the ants to the bigger ants. And then they pour all those ants into the pool of lava in the volcano. So don't cross the mods, because that's what happens. But also, Scaly Models is also known as Dad. So if you want to get his attention, just say Dad. Hey, Dad. Big hugs to Dad. Sprue and Glue is in. Welcome, Sprue and Glue. I was waffling there and talking complete nonsense. Wendy Hickson. We have... Who else has come in? Anybody else come in? Fox hugs to me from Mayhem Modelworks, who is also in. Welcome, Mayhem. Scale Modelling Chaos says afternoon, so welcome to you. Wendy Hickson. David Sanderson's in. Welcome, David. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Everybody saying hello to everybody. If your models don't have it, says Scale Modelling Chaos, it's probably on back order on a boat somewhere in the world. Yeah, there is also that as well. Mayhem Modelworks says he can't believe John Byers got Foxx to choose between the prequel series and the sequel. Yeah, I know. John Byers on his channel did an interview with me, and he asked me the question between the prequel and the sequel series, and I'm like, oh, don't ask me that question. Foxx picture looks better than previous, lol. Cool, I'll do random last minute setup again then. Panicky setup, it obviously works. Now, here we go. Right, so Dad asks, of course, without any prompting from me, he's a good girl. Without any prompting from me, Dad asks the most important question there ever will be, which is, of course, bench and belly. What's on your bench? I've just removed my markers for something. I needed to not remove those. What's on your bench? And what's in your belly? What are you working on right now? What model kit are you building up? Could be, you know, a plastic kit, or it could be a wooden kit, or it could be anything. So what are you building up? And what's in your belly? What have you had for dinner, or what are you going to have for dinner? Now, I'm working on a night, obviously, a knigget, but I don't know what I'm having for dinner. It might be takeout, because I've got a busy day today. I did a premiere earlier on. I've got this stream now, and I've got a stream at midnight tonight, so it's a busy day for me. I haven't got time to be messing about in the kitchen doing the cooking. Now, also, I will apologise. I've changed the microphone setup a little bit. Let me know how it sounds. I've changed the microphone setup, so it might be a bit less boomy and loud and quiet. It might just stay fairly stable, but it might mean you can pick up the people outside cutting the lawns and having barbecues, and I know it's just there's noise and there's helicopters. It's just noise. Anyway, who else have we got in? I got carried away there. I think that's everybody I've mentioned. Edward Leonard is in. Welcome, Edward. Edward, of course, is our king of squishies. If you don't know, Edward's got some jellies, some sea jellies as pets, and they go like this. They might not make that noise, but they do that. You can't see that, can you? Because it wasn't even on camera, you fool. I can't do it. It's the joke's died now. Never mind. Moving on. Moving on. Who else has come in? Somebody else has come in, because somebody mentioned somebody... Gem Hugs. Is Gemma in? Welcome to Gemma if you're in. I haven't seen your comment. Oh yeah, Gemma Williams is in. Hey Gemma, how you doing, my friend? Big hugs, big hugs, big hugs. Chris isn't in. Never mind. He always forgets. Yes, so where are we? Give Chris a bit of a slap from me. Don't really, because we love Chris. He's only little tiny fella. Anyway, let's crack on. So yes, welcome to all of you. No coffee for me today. I've got the waters of life. Oh, because I've had a lot of coffee. I got up early today, so I've had a lot of coffee, and I can't be drinking. If I'm trying to build things with coffee, I'm like, I've got to do this now, and I can't get the coordination to do it because I've drunk like a litre of coffee. So I'm trying to cut back on that. Trying to put on a tiny piece like this. Hey, right. So let's crack on. We need to build the Las Impulsor. Which is the big stonking great rifle-y weapon. So I've got all my sprues here. Now the beauty of this, for this particular weapon, is I know exactly which sprue it is. It's that sprue, because the Las Impulsor is unique to this Imperial Knight. If you've built Imperial Knights before, you will have built the Imperial Knight Warden kit, which you can build as 5 or 6 different variants. This specific kit is the Canis Rex, and it's basically exactly the same kit as the Knight Warden kit, but with this extra sprue for bits for the Canis Rex, because Canis Rex is a unique Imperial Knight. It's got a specific storyline to it. So you get this one extra sprue, so that weapon, it's on this sprue. Mayhem says, is it an English knigget or the French insultor? I don't get the joke, but it's... I don't know. It's Imperial. It's from a planet called Space Planet or something. I don't know. I don't know the full backstory. Who has unliked the stream already? I don't care. Skill Model Muse says, just skip me then, sheet. Did you sneak in quietly again and then wonder why we didn't notice you? Welcome, Muse. Big hugs to Muse. who then waves at everyone except me. I see what you did there. That's just... I don't know. Anyway, let's crack on. So we need some parts. So let's get some parts ready. I have my snippeties. A bit of advice. If you have the Mr. Tools, hang on, let me get this right. Mr. Hobby, Mr. Tools, and Mr. Nippers, which are available from eModels. If you get these, just don't hold it like that when you nip. Because guarantee, if you've got flippity-flappity skin on your finger there, unless you're exceptionally young and you've got tight, firm skin that doesn't... Yeah, it's going to get trapped in there and it's really painful. Number of times I've done that. Just don't do it. Right, putting lenses on. So, Monty Python Foxx Oy vey, says Mayhem. I don't know. I've not watched Life of whatever it is, Life of Brian, the history of the... I don't know. It's been years since I watched many things. I need 97 and 95. Okay, these aren't all exclusive parts. I need to revamp my comments. Talking rubbish. I'll just stop talking now. That might be the best thing, mightn't it? This is all armour. Don't need any of that. Here we go. Here we go. Right, now we're cooking with gas. Rubbish Fox, you really are. 97 and 95. There's 97. 97 and 95. Anyway, yes, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a jolly good week. And that you're looking forward to a jolly good weekend. I always look forward to the weekend because it's all my streams and stuff get done at the weekend. It's all busy time. 21 and 20, which is what do I want? 95. I want, don't know. 95. I forgot that bit. 95 is there. Apologies, I'm doing this off camera. It's just easier to wave the sprue around out of shot. Yes, weekend's busy for me, so I always have fun at the weekend. But I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend ahead. 21 and 20, it's going to be a completely different sprue again, isn't it? Not that one. It's going to be that one. I think it is this one. Let's have a look and see. 21 and 20. There they are. Yes, I did a thing. I found them on the sprue. I don't know why I'm singing when I am narrating. It's very strange. I'm in one of the moods. I can just see it. 21 and 20. Full of energy today, and I don't know why. Because I didn't sleep well last night. I shouldn't be full of beans. So I'm obviously going to crash at about 4 o'clock and just kind of go... and just power down. So let's get these bits done first before we go and start cutting hundreds of things off the sprue. So, let's get these pieces cleaned up. Cleaning time. Small plastic lid time. There we go. Yes, so I hope you all got looking forward to a good weekend ahead. Put that there. Nothing of any great input for me to report at the weekend. Of course, I'm streaming all weekend, but what's been going on? Any great news I can impart to you? Quick bit of reminder. Don't forget, of course, eModels, as this is an eModels stream. Now, do keep in mind, I don't work for eModels. Me, Ted, Colin and Chris, all of us, none of us, Andy, we don't work for eModels. We're not employed by, we don't have any inside information. We just make silly videos for them. Where's my scrapey tool? Where's my scrapey tool? But do keep in mind, you may have forgotten, but the store reopens on the 12th. So on Monday coming up, if you live local or have been planning on visiting the store for a while and you haven't been able to, because of course they've been closed for legal reasons, because they have to, because the world's on fire, then they're reopening their public counter. There'll still be strict measures in place, but you can now go along. So if you have been waiting to pop in, you can from Monday. If you've never been to eModels before, do keep in mind, it's not a traditional store. It's not like a traditional shop where you walk in and there's like shelves and shelves of stuff and you can wander around and the little man follows you saying, "Can I help you, sir?" It's not like that. It's a working warehouse that just happens to have a public counter at the front. So you can go in and have a look around. You're more than welcome to go in and, ask advice. But it's not like you can walk around and browse the products because it's a warehouse. It's not like a thing. So it's always good if you're gonna go in, and we do recommend you go. Just have an idea of what you want to pick up. Either you can order it online and pick it up rather than have it delivered. You can go and collect it, or you can have an idea what you want to get and pop in and pick it up, or however you want to do it. But it's not, you can't really walk in and browse the shelves because the shelves are all in the middle of a working warehouse. Also, restrictions are in place right now. Yeah, back open on the... I don't know where I'm going with that, so I'll just shut up. But yes, 12th, back open on the 12th. Back open at the public counter. Hopefully, you know, things are starting to get back to normal a bit now. But yes, that's open on the 12th. What else has been going on? For me, no news from me, personally. On my channel, I've been working my way through the 15 issues of the D'Agostini Build Your Own X-Wing part work that I'm doing, because I received a splurge of 15 issues, because they've been delayed for obvious reasons, because of, you know, the world being on fire. And I've just received 5 more this morning. Hello, so I'm catching up now. Yes. That's the roll, not that one. But other than that, not a lot to report from here. It's actually taken me all week this week to do those X-Wing things, so slow process, slow progress even. This little piston here is quite fine detailed. I want to get rid of the mould line because I will want the piston to be shiny. It's like an uppy downy piston, so the bit that's the movie part you want to be shiny because that's the way pistons do. The ram part will obviously be painted, but the pistony bit, the uppy downy bit, will be shiny bare metal. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get. Yes, that's going to be pretty good. Let's do these pieces. I will have a look at chat in a moment, so make sure to answer the bench and belly question. I'll go through those. And just let me know what you've got planned this weekend, or what you've been up to, or just anything really. Because remember, this show is just about, it's about you guys hanging out and chat with your mates. It's not really about whatever I'm talking about, or what I'm doing. It's not really relevant what I'm talking about. Now, if you noticed, don't forget, of course, to keep up to date with eModels, as to, you know, opening times and what's in stock and all that kind of thing. Do it on camera, Foxx. That might be a good idea as well. Make sure to follow them on the Facebooks, facebook.com/eModelsLTD. That's their Facebook page. Go and check them out. It's a good to stay. I'll get my words out. It's a good way to stay updated as to what they're doing. You know, special offers and things as well will always get posted up on there. You may have noticed the other day a little thing went up reminding you that the store was opening on the 12th, and it had with it a stunningly accurate and very carefully conceived recreation of old classic Volkswagen car ads that I cobbled together. I thought, I don't know why I did. I don't know where the idea came. I just kind of did it, and I spent ages getting all the right fonts and everything, and researching the style, and even sort of copying the word style a little bit. And then when they posted it to Facebook decided to crop out 2/3 of the image, so it just looked like a bit of it. It made no sense at all. So all my hard work on that beautiful recreation of classic Volkswagen adverts ruined. Thanks, Facebook. Spoons. So yes, if you're wondering why there was like a picture of eModels and then a little bit of text that disappeared off the bottom of the picture, it's because Facebook cropped most of it. But hey, what can you do? I'll just get these pieces cleaned up. Now you can see here we've got the classic ribbed bit of piping, So we're going to need to clean up that mould line. So first of all, we can just scrape it off. You can use a file or your mould line removal tool or anything like that with a stiff blade to get it off the raised parts. And then, of course, you've seen me do it before for the little recesses where it's between the little ribs. Get yourself your scriber. I'm using a Tamiya Mark II scriber. Just simply run it into all the little recesses. That angle's easier for me to see. Run it into the recesses. It just scrapes away that it's only a very fine mould line. And just very easily scrape it away. And that way, when you paint it, you've sanded it, you know, I've sanded it away from the tops of the ridges, but it's still got the mould line between them. And when you paint it, put a wash over it, you'll see that mould line in the gaps, in the recess, and it'll look a bit pants. Always good just to clean that out. It In reality, of course, this will be covered in dirt and dust and probably weathered, so you probably won't see anything anyway. So I'll just give that a quick brush. And as with anything when you've done sanding and scraping, give your thumb a lick and just rub it over. I know it sounds gross, but it's a good way because it just gets rid of any little powdery bits of plastic that may look like bits you've missed, but you haven't. It's just little powdery particles, like that one there. There you go, that looks pretty good now. Mould line gone. Although I guarantee once I put a coat of primer on it, the mould line will definitely come back. Always does. Where are we up to? Knobs off here. Yes, so if you've not seen one of these before, this is me getting this built ready for painting, because I will be doing a how to paint Imperial Knights video for eModels. Because eModels do now stock Games Workshop, both Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar. Of course, they've been a bit low on stock lately because of the world being on fire. It's been difficult to get restocks from Games Workshop, but you'll find any trader has had the same problem with any supply. It's been the same all through that last year or so, but that seems to be getting better now, so they are expecting more. I'm not sure if this particular knight kit is back in stock yet. Hopefully it is, if it is, or will be soon. I'm just waiting on... I'll get my words out. I'm waiting on them getting more paints in stock, because I want to make sure when I do this, I'm using products that, you know, when I paint it, products that you can that are in stock and available. Now, it's a fairly simple paint job, and the thing is with Imperial Knights, if you've not done one before, Imperial Knights, of all the Warhammer things to paint, Imperial Knights are probably the easiest because they're so straightforward. I mean, they don't have to be. You can make them as complicated as you want. You can make them as, you know, the paint job as complicated and intricate and intense as you want to. But if you want to paint them just, you know, straight as per the law, you don't have to. But if you want to, they can be quite simple. It can be really straightforward. I'm going to put these two bits together just to make sure I've got no large steps or shape incorrect bits that I've sanded away. No, there's a little bit here where it's not quite denubbed level, but when I squeeze this together, this is going to go inside the weapon, so you're not going to see a lot of that, and what little tiny bit you do I can fill with the glue anyway, so that should look pretty good. I'll make sure these two little ribs here are level. I don't want to sand them too much because I've got glue to splooge out and clean up after this, so when they go together, so we'll leave that. That's pretty good. Have a quick look at chat. Mayhem says Foxx, Ted, Colin and Chris work with eModels, not for them. Imagine the disaster. Oh god, yeah. Mayhem talks about coffee to Muse, because Muse is in. Do you know that? Foxx Mayhem is talking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yes, I know. I've not seen that film since like 1989. Like twice as old as some of you out there since I've seen it, so it's been a long time. Mr. Hobby, Mr. Tool, Mr. Nipper, Mr. Cupper, Mr. Choppy, Mr. Green, Mr. Ow my finger, says Mayhem. Oh yes. 20 watching, only 8 likes. Hit the like button, guys, says Sprue and Glue. Excuse me. Yeah, please do feel free to hit the like button. It always helps the channels that you're watching. Helps their videos list higher and helps support them. Fox said people on his same brain wavelength seems he can't pick up Referencer Obscura, the plum. I haven't seen it since the late 80s. And I've only seen it a handful of times. So I don't know every single line from it. I know all the important lines, probably. Muse says, I work most of the weekend as usual. No. Don't. Chat is jumping. Spring Glue, where can I get a handle for my scrappy tool? What's your scrappy tool? You mean one of these things? No, that's the Citadel one. I don't know how you've got that without the handle. But you can't buy just the handles, I'm afraid. No. There was the Warhammer Conquest part work in which you got... I don't know if I've got it here, actually. You got a scraping... That's a knife. I don't know where that's come from. You got a scraping tool in there, but it wasn't... It was this, but without the handle. It was just that bit. Which is kind of weird. I've still got it somewhere. I just don't know where it is. I'm hoping eModels get a delivery in soon, as I appear to be running low of just a lot of things. Yeah, that's the problem at the minute with any retailer, is just getting stock in because of, you know, deliveries getting stuck. And of course, especially with anything that would have to naturally come between, I don't know, for example, down the Suez Canal, there may be a reason why that would be delayed for the last few weeks, possibly. But they're all over the world. Everybody's having problems getting stock. So just be patient. It's not down to one retailer specifically. It's down to the world being on fire, unfortunately. One just like Guru, says Sprue and Glue. eModels may have them in stock. If not, they will have them in stock when they get more stock in. You know, it's just the Citadel scraping tool. There are others of it. I think they've got other ones in store, though. As long as it's basically just a solid blade that doesn't wiggle, then you're golden, basically. La 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 la. Oh yeah, it sounds like he's got the tool without the handle. It sounds like you got one then from one of the part works. Where's mine? I've got mine somewhere. Let me have a look. No, I can't find it. I've got it somewhere. Oh, then in fact, this entire conversation has already been had in the chat. There you go. Chris is in. Chris at Grace Models. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just reading chat, I seem to be getting in trouble. This is correct. No. What Gemma's talking about probably involves hitting Chris or telling Chris off. I'm in and out, often with video muted. I'm actually doing some painting on my eModels build, says Chris at Gross Models. In that case, go back and do it. Go on, go away, carry on. Get that thing done. Get it done. Get it done, lad. Now, of course, I may probably end up missing a lot of chat. Somebody said hello. Is it somebody new? Oh, no. No. Nobody new, I don't think. Yes. What was I talking about? I've already forgotten. I just said it and I've forgotten already. I'm just shutting up now. I've just forgotten what I just started talking about. I literally have. Oh, Lord. It's all gone wrong already. Today is going to be one of those days. Quite literally. I'm really not sure. I was just about to say something. I started saying it and then I just instantly forgot. It was clearly of no importance, whatever it was. You wouldn't have me any other way, though, would you? Let's be honest. Yes, I don't know what we're doing for no, that's what I was going to say. I'm doing my best to keep an eye on chat. If you do ask me a question, by the way, don't forget, like I said, put it in capitals, all capitals, so I have a chance to see it. Or you can at me, at Model Making Guru, because I'm signed into chat as myself. Or you can do a super chat. But if I do miss your question, obviously apologies. I'm focusing on doing this, and I can't quite see the chat properly. If I do miss your question, don't panic. Just give it 5 minutes and try again. I'll get round to it eventually. But I probably will miss a lot of chat, so you just carry on and just have me on in the background. And there you go. It's the best way to be. Yes, I don't know what we're doing for dinner tonight. I'm suspecting it will probably end up being takeaway. I think Mama Fox was suggesting she might want takeaway of some sort. Which I'm trying to wean her off it because it's not good for me. You know, I'm supposed to be on a low fat, low crab diet, but it's not helping. No, says me who ordered like a 24 pack of soba noodles. Yeah, that's not really, I'm not helping myself. Can't blame Mama Fox, I'm not helping myself anyway either. Now you can see here I'm trying to scrape a mould line away using the knife blade. Two things to note. One, it's because it's a tiny area and this thing's too big. And two, I'm resting my finger on the blade like that. Now, for the love of dog, if you're a young builder, don't do this. Get somebody else to do it for you. If you're going to do this, I'm resting my finger there because I don't want the blade to flex. The beauty of this thing, or any scraping tools, this is the blade doesn't flex, and therefore when you drag it across the surface, it doesn't go like that and make lots of scratches. If you try and scrape a line away with just a knife blade, it's going to flex and bend, and it will jitter across the surface, and it will put those little scratches in there. What you can do is just reinforce the blade and stop it moving around. But you've got to be very careful, because obviously you're putting your finger right on a blade. I wouldn't recommend you do it. I'm an idiot, that's why I'm doing it. Don't be an idiot. But if you insist on doing it, take all available precautions and just go carefully. It's one of the reasons I don't like doing cleanup with a knife normally, just purely because, not because of the danger of stabbing my finger off. That's a danger I face every time I pick up a knife, but more just for the cleanup These kind of tools are really nice. They just make a flat surface that's instantly not in requirement of much cleanup, which is the beauty of it. Now, I'm not sure how much of this is ever even going to be seen. No, in my look, all of this stuff will just vanish. So we shall see. That goes... Where does that go? Where does that go? I'm trying to figure out if this bit is still visible. I can't remember which end this... I'll find out when I build it. I'll find out when I build it. Right, so... Just got this mould line here, and I'm trying to figure out whether it's worth me cleaning it or not, because if it's a bit that you're never ever going to see, I don't need to worry about it so much. But if it's a bit that's on prime public view, I need to clean it up. Now, before somebody asks, because somebody asks every time, before anybody asks, I'm not magnetising anything on this. It's being built purely to go into eModels display cabinet, or potentially, you know, where they'll either have it in there forever or they'll just auction it off, probably. It's never going to be played on the tabletop, because, you know, it's not being built for that. It's being built purely for display. There isn't a secret eModels 40K army that I don't know about. So, just being made for display. So it doesn't really matter. Plus, I'm building the Canis Rex, which has 2 specific weapons. The Slappy Fist, the Hand of Slappiness, and the Las Impulsor. I don't need his weapons out for anything else, because Canis Rex doesn't have any other weapons. Right, that's that bit. We're looking pretty good. I think what I might do... I've kind of done a little bit of... I don't know. I thought I'd maybe sanded that rivet away and I'm going to have to replace the rivet, but I don't think I will. I think it's survived somehow. By some miracle, the rivet seems intact. I was going to just like sand it off and replace it, but I don't think I need to. Right, so that's those bits. Knife away. Right, how do these go together? Very well, thank you. So we need to... this piece goes in... That gets dropped, first of all. This piece goes in here. It just clicks into there. Oops. Snicked. That just sits in place. No need to glue that yet. I will be gluing the arm into a fixed pose, but I don't need to do it just yet. Now, these 2 pieces, and just in case you weren't sure, it's going wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. That needs to be wiggleable. Just so you know. Wiggle, wiggle. Peter Davies in. Welcome, Peter. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks, Gru. It came in a Warhammer figure and paint set, says Spruggle. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, you've got the same as me, just it comes without the handle. That's because you can see here the handle goes all the way down on that. The one you got in Conquest and some of the starter sets, you get the real crappy brush that you can just use for glue and the little scraper, which is good. It just doesn't come with a handle. But it's the same one. Now, this lovely thing here. Gemma said it in a tone of me being in trouble. Chris, you're not in trouble. Okay, but he is in trouble. If Gemma says you're not in trouble, that means you're really in trouble. Seriously in trouble. Right, so this needs to go... Stop messing around, Foxx, and just do some work. That sits around here. It's like a sleeve that goes around that. Like there, you'll see. And ideally what you do is you don't glue that into place, because you want this to do spinulations. Spinulatory! So the trick is gluing this together without actually gluing this bit in place. This is where it gets interesting. Because I will want to squidge the glue in to make sure it cleans up this little gap. So I need to somehow glue this together without gluing it together. Now what I will do is, once I've got everything sorted out, I'll just put the arm into a fixed pose, like at the elbow angle we locked and the way it's turned. So I will eventually glue this together properly and then get rid of this little gap. But for the moment, I can just do a quick fix, which is, I've got it the right way around, which is that way, and there we go. Okay, so I can take my extra thin, Time your extra thing for all your gluing purposes. Can run the glue here, this end. Hope it doesn't go up to the top. Now you could of course use a thicker cement, might be easier to avoid running into any little recesses, but at the same time I want to be able to squish it together to get rid of the gap, the little seam gaps. So it's actually easier to do that with the extra thin. I'm going to give it a second. And then I shall do the magic squish. Ready? Which you can't see because my back of my hand's in the way. Squish. You see all the glue splurbing out, all the melted plastic there splurbing out. That's what we want because we can sand that back later. Now, I haven't put glue up there. I could risk it for a biscuit and put a tiny, because I want to be able to put glue on there and then sand it back to smooth it out, but we'll wait till I've got the fixed pose. Let's wait till I can see what position the arm's going to be in, and then we'll sort that out. But this for the moment is just holding it in place. We'll put that there. Now, we need to get the actual weaponry parts ready. Gentlemen, prepare your weaponry. Hi all, here for 40 minutes before I go back to work. Boo, says Philip Buck. Welcome, Philip Buck. We've got at least 40 minutes, obviously. That's all good news. Hello, Mr. Fox, says Peter Davey. Doesn't need a handle, says Scale Model Muse. No, you're fine with that handle. This is the important bit. Fox, stop winding Chris up. He's not in trouble at the moment anyway. See, you see what I mean? That means because at the moment she's distracted watching me do wonderful things because I'm so distracting and disarming. As soon as I stop talking, she starts thinking about why you're in trouble again. There will be a reason why you're in trouble. She just hasn't decided which one it is yet. Let's just be perfectly clear. That's the actual proper reason. Am I in trouble? Yes. What for? I don't know yet. I'm working on it. Okay. Yes, dear. Underdog Painting just got in from work. Thought I'd drop by. Welcome, Underdog. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now this bit, I love this bit. It looks like if you're old like me, it looks like a 1980s or 1990s VCR, a video camera. Before we had all our smartphones with our digital shenanigans, we had cameras that actually took full-size video cassettes. And it looks like one of those. There's another rivet off there. It's had some damage in the box, I think. This one, the rivets. I'll have to replace that. So we want 23 and 22. Let's get these off the spring. So yeah, this is, you'd have that on your shoulder. My dad was a cameraman, so we've got a proper, like we had little handy cams and stuff, and like portable cameras for our own personal use that just use normal video cassettes. But we also had, I think we've still got it in the house somewhere, we probably haven't, a proper professional camera that took full-size Betamax tapes, because my dad was a cameraman, and when he retired he went freelance, so we had a full-on, big as a car, portable, doing a bunny quotes, portable Betamax studio, studio Betamax video camera, because for outside videoing in those days, in the 80s and the early 90s, professional video recording for your local news and stuff, you'd use Betamax tapes, not VHS. VHS was consumer level. You may remember that Betamax was terrible and was rubbish as a consumer product, but that's why it failed. But when Betamax disappeared from the market for consumers, it actually remained on the market for professionals and was in use via broadcast for a long, long time, because it offered a higher resolution and quality than VHS. So we may mock a Betamax or Betamax, but it stuck around for a long time. You just didn't know it. Snicked. Whenever you watch your local news programme for local news about local matters, and they had Johnny Reporter out talking to Mavis Spangle Bong on the street, or whatever. Sorry, I need to clear my throat, one sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, when they used to go out and about and ask Mavis Thrumbledonk on the street about what she thought of the local cat farming situation or something in Lower Throssick on the Wall, that was always on Betamax. Big massive camera they recorded it on. So we've got a load of cassettes in the spare room, a load of old Betamax tapes. I think it's got somebody's wedding on it. I probably should, because he did like freelance stuff for like Channel 4 and Granada and stuff on ITV, but he also did a load of like freelance, like pure freelance wedding footage, and he hated it. He hated every minute of it. doing weddings and stuff, events. Hated it, but it was money. It was what he did, and it was money. So, but yeah. So we've got a bit of tapes in the front room, and if we had something to play them on, we don't. But if we had, I'm pretty certain they're all going to be like some poor sap's wedding, or a local council, I don't know, special parade or something. I don't know, some kind of local event that he just filmed because he was paid to film it. Probably all kinds of stuff on there. Maybe I should find some way to watch them and put it on YouTube and say, hey, is this your wedding? If so, cheers. There you go. Assuming that the people in them are actually even still alive, or married, or even alive. You never know. Going back 40 years, like, so. Well, maybe not 40 years. In fact, yeah, yes. No, 30 years. 30 years ago, probably all divorced by now, or gone to join the Choir Invisible. I don't know. It's entirely possible. We're just cleaning up these little parts here, and then we shall have a look at Chatterage. Chatterage? That's not even a real word, Foxx. I'm trying to... Oh, I'll just stop talking now. Just stop talking. Alright, are we in shot? You were vaguely in shot. Near enough. Anyway, yes, so for the love of dog, please give me things to talk about in chat, because I'm running out of ideas. I've been busy building that X-Wing all week, so I've not really got anything to talk about, really. I do have some news, but not news that I can reveal to you at this time. I have some other news that's eModels related, but not that I can relate to at this time. So, I don't know why I told you that, really, because I can't tell you about it, so... Yes. That's them. Knife away. Clean up time. Now what I'm going to do here, again, because we're making a tubular shape, I'm not too fussed about these like rough bits, because when we glue this together and squeeze the glue out, of course, again, we can sand it and file it back and clean up the gap and get rid of all the nubs at the same time. But I might want to get rid of like that one there that's on that edge, because it's against that little thing and it can't get rid of it otherwise. I can get rid of this now. That one there. That one can go away. Goodbye. That one can go away, because I'm not going to be doing any filling there. That one there will be got rid of when I fill it. Mistake. This one here, again, likewise, I can get rid of when I fill this gap. And that one there. I think that's all of them. There's a little one here, which I can just very quickly file over, because I probably won't be able to get rid of that gap. Not without some shenanigans. Tell you what, after the last couple of days when it's been cold and miserable, I've got the window open in the room, and it's not hot, it's warm, but I can hear people like mowing the lawns outside, and it sounds really summery. And like, you know, I can hear a blackbird, and it's just making me think it's a real nice day out there. It doesn't have to be warm and sunny to be like summery or spring-ish. Right, so that's that. I don't want to get rid of any more of them nubs on there, because we've got other cleanup to do on there. This thing here is completely covered. That end and that end both get completely covered by things. But I do need to get rid of a mould line here. We'll just quickly, can I do it with the file? Just quickly file it away. Basically, there's an end cap that sits on top of that, so I don't need to worry about that mould line, but I do on the edge, because this little bit will be visible. So rather than get the other tool, I'll just quickly file it. It'll get rid of it, no problem. And I do have the mould line down the side, which needs to go away. This is bigger, so I can just use the removal tool. There we go. A bit too small to get in, but I'll see if I can. Lovely. And now we've got the same down this tube. Big mould line right down the middle of the tube. So just gently scrape it. And I'll do it near the microphone. It's a great noise. You don't need to be firm with this. You can be very gentle. It's just a very, very slight mould line. It'll easily go away on those ribbedy bits. It's just a little bit that sticks up. Like I say, this will be weathered up anyway, so chances are you're not going to see anything, but we will very quickly go around and clean the gaps. And I'll have a quick look at chat as well in a moment. I'm thinking about food now already. Every time I start to do a stream and we ask the question, bench and belly, start thinking about food. And all I want to do at that point is stop the stream and go and get the food that I'm thinking about. It's terrible. So I'm just going to work our way around. It's a bit tedious, but it's worth doing it. Because there's nothing worse when you look at someone's beautifully painted mini. With game, it's a very Games Workshop thing to have these like ribbed tubes. It's a bit like, you know, the pipe that comes out the back of your washing machine, that kind of thing, or you know, reinforced breather pipes and things like that. Just stuff where it's reinforced with like metal rings and things, or the tube that comes off your shower head into the shower unit, that kind of thing. It's like that, but it's a very 40k thing. They have them everywhere, but there's nothing worse than seeing a beautifully painted mini of some sort. You know, the person's taken hours and taken a long time to make this thing look fantastic. They've used glazes and washes and shades, and they've highlighted all kinds of techniques. And then there's a hose coming off a face mask or something, or a breather pipe or something coming off, and it's like big honking mould line right down the middle, and you're like, oh, that just ruined all your hard work. Soz. It really does just kind of ruin it. So it's worth putting in that little bit of extra mileage. Really is. Trust your Uncle Fox. Hard to see this one. It's hard to get to this one on the inside. So this one you actually have it that way. You'll see the top of it, which is the other one. You won't really see the top of it so much. The inside, you not have to worry about that one. It's the outside. But this one, you can see both sides. You've got to kind of work your way around both sides, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. It's harder to get to. So it's actually harder to see the mould line as well, which is annoying, because then you think you've got rid of it, and then you put the primer on, you're like, oh, I can see it now. Oh, there we go. Can't quite get that in there. Let me get my other little sandy sponge with the broken bit. Where is it? There it is. I do recommend these UMP sticks. Get one and snap half of it off. That's the reason why. It's great for getting into slightly smaller areas. Yeah, lovely. Lovely, 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 lovely. They'll never know. Apart from that big bit of mould line on the top. Yeah, they'll know about that. Let's get rid of that. Little mould lines here. I will have a look at chat in a moment. Apologies, I'm obviously busy bildulating. But I'll have a look at chat in a moment. Even smells summery out there. I can see the sun through the curtain, through the window, because I've got the window open and obviously the curtains are open, so I can see a hint of sun coming through the mesh on the anti-insect mesh on the window, because I don't do insects. Not in this room. And it just looks nice. It sounds summery. It smells summery. The light is summery. It just feels a little bit cool. Spring-like, perhaps. Very nice. Can't wait till it's the time of year when I can sit in the garden again. Just of a summer's day, sit in the garden with a nice refreshing beverage of some sort. Just spend an hour chilling out. Because during the summer, sometimes it gets so hot in here that I can't do any work. Because, you know, I sit here and do work, I've got all these lights on, it gets warm, it warms you up even on a cold winter's day. So there are some times in the year when you can't do anything, basically. You can't just sit up here at all. Now it can get boring, because if it's too hot to do any work, you know, I can't have the lights and stuff on. It also means it's too hot to turn the Xbox on. Yeah. So, or even to have the computer on. So you'd think, oh well, if I can't do any work, at least I can just, you know, pass some time playing the Xbox or something. No, because that just puts out 100 times more heat than these lights, and 1,000 times more heat than the computer. So yeah. So there can be boring times in summer, so it's a little bit of a welcome thing that you can just go and sit in the garden and chill out. Glad we haven't just got one of those boring paved gardens, or just a garden that's just grass, like a flat grass lawn, because that'd be so boring. We've got a nice garden with bushes and plants and trees and creatures everywhere. I'll happily sit and watch creatures all day. Right, that's that bit done. Let's just put the knife away. I shall get the assemblations done, and then we'll have a look at chat. So this bit needs to go together like this first. So we have not that one. That or was it that one? Brain. That way. There we go. So that goes in there like that. Plunk. You see how I didn't need to worry about that mould line, because actually what have I did I just waste all that? Yes, I didn't need to do any of that, did I? Because of that bit I've just spent ages cleaning up. All you can see is that bit there, inside there. So there you go. That's not the end of the world. Oh well, never mind. I thought it was a different bit, so ignore everything I said about things going on the end of that bit. Yeah, that's not going to happen. We'll get that piece glued in. Glue your piece in, matron. Touch of glue. I can be generous here because it's all hidden away on the interior areas. There you go, touch of glue on that. That'll be more than enough. Now, this is where we need to get fiddle-tastic. This needs to go on there like that. Move this out of the way, I don't need that. This needs to go on there like that. You've got a wiggly woggly arm, and then we have this bit that goes on there like that to lock it in place. Like that. So you can see that little bit I did the filling on here with the glue. Literally you see about 5mm either way. So all I need to do is very quickly, I need about 10 or 15 minutes, but it should be more than enough. Anything back. Just to scrape away that bead of glue that we made, that filled it. Only a few millimeters. Only goes like that far, so it doesn't really matter. Then on this side. Because I'm not sure exactly where the position of the arm is going to be. I'll very quickly file it as well. Now I want to keep the curve here, so I'm having to do it that way and that way at the same time. I'm not using any pressure, but I need to get this nice and smooth and flat. And it's not playing ball, so I need to get into the persuading mode with the file, which can be tricky. Let's try this. But again, it's also going to be weathered as well, so it's not the end of the world if it's a little bit imperfect, if you know what I mean. I need to basically fill the gap as best I can. So that's there. A little bit there. Fine. Now this piece here, I can try and clean it with the scraper. A little bit of armour goes on this. I don't think it does, but I can't remember. On this piece here. I don't remember if it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, alright. We need to do some cleanup on that bit there. So we'll have to wait till that's glued in place, because I think I put a little bit of glue here. But that was it. But not on the top bit. But then again, trust me, when you see the big honking weapon that sits on this, that little bit there is the last thing people are going to be looking at. going to be the great big honking laser gun that they're going to be looking at. Yes, we'll wait till we glue that into apposition. We need to get all that cleaned up there. You see that gap there? We need to fill that. I can't fill that until I can glue it into place. So that will then go in. How do we do this now? Let me get this right way around, otherwise that's going to be sadness. It goes like that. Yep, with the tube at the back, tube at the back. I'm not going to glue it there because, again, I don't know what pose I'm going to have the arm in yet, but I can still get into here to clean it up later. What we need to do now is get these two pieces glued together. Do. But as always, run the glue in the gap and then clean it up as we go along. There are bits that go over some of these, so a lot of these bits you're not going to actually see anyway. So run it along this gap. Hope it doesn't glue into place anything that shouldn't be glued into place. That will be annoying. We'll have to live with some of the little gaps where I can't quite get to them. That bit in there we'll have to live with because it looks more like two separate pieces of metal than an actual mould line or a seam. Really, what we want is some clamputations. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Look at the clampularity. That might work. We'll put that there. I'll put that one there. Very tight, that one. Okay, so that's those two. Really, it's this circular bit here, this cylindrical bit here where we're more concerned about. That gap there could be just part of the moulding of the iron sights or whatever it is. And other bits you can't quite see anyway. We can work on those. We can't really do much about under here because we can't really get anything in there to clean up, so we're going to have to live with a little bit of a gap there. There is a tiny bit here we can sort out. Just there. That's about it. There are situations where, you know, you need to pick your battles, and there are some situations where you're never going to get a gap cleaned. Now, I can hear a really loud lawnmower outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I do apologise if it gets annoying. Do let me know, because I can close the window, but I might end up moving the camera around when I do it. So that still moves. That still moves. We need to put that to one side while it dries. Put it on the glue. I shall have a look at chat and have a swig of water. Where are we up to? Just got in front of work. Thought I'd draw on that one. Let's have a look. You're all making Chris paranoid. He's been very lovely today. Ah, that means you're really in trouble. If she says very lovely, if she says lovely, then you've been lovely. If you've been very lovely, that means you're really in trouble. You've done something really stupid. Betamax was ace, top loader. I remember watching Star Wars on one of them, says Philip Buck. Hey, Phil. Oh, yeah. It did offer higher quality than VHS. The problem was it was more expensive, and on a consumer level it failed because of the cost. The same way, you know, like HD DVDs and Blu-rays. Blu-rays were just cheaper. And HD DVDs were more expensive and offered higher quality, I think. But they didn't have as much data storage and they were more expensive, so they just failed. Chris, best sleep with one eye open, says Mark. Absolutely. David Butch, that model's in. Welcome, Dave. Just says he's been busy with work and life stuff. Fox, what's the first kit you ever made, and would you make it again? Says Philip Buck. No idea what the first kit I ever made was. It was probably a Apollo 11 lunar lander when I was like 5. Yeah, and it was probably terrible back in the 70s. I can tell you the first kit I ever built and painted properly was the Tamiya 135th T62A tank, and I've been having thoughts lately about getting that kit again and rebuilding it because it was the first thing I ever painted. I used to make kits and build them and then play with them like toys. And that dog next door, but one's also barking now. I may have to close the window just to avoid me going nuts about it. Do let me know if the lawnmowers and dogs get on your nerves. I can close the window. So yeah, I have been thinking, having thought, because I'm getting old now, you see, and I'm getting all the flashbacks to when I was a kid and youth. So I have been having thoughts about that old T62A kit. It's a great kit. It was the first thing I ever painted. I remember painting the figure, that the guy that stands in the turret in the cupola. First figure I ever painted. Painted him, and I took him to school in a matchbox in some tissue. Like, look what I painted yesterday. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. All my mates are like, wow, that's brilliant. And they're probably thinking, nerd. But yeah, showed it off to all my mates. Carried it around in a matchbox. Really proud all day I was. If I found it now, it'd probably be absolute garbage. But hey. But yes, having thoughts about getting one of those and doing a painting it up. I hate it when work distracts me from this very important live stream, says Trevor's Workbench. Welcome, Trevor's Workbench. Welcome, welcome. Oh, it's a lawnmower. I thought it was the gogs going around. The gogs. What's a gogs? I don't know what that means. James Chapman, afternoon, Fox. Welcome, James. Hello, hello, hello. Mayhem Model Works is back. What did I miss? Nothing. I assembled an assemblage. Cogs even, says Butcher. Oh, there you go, Cogs. I wonder what Gogs were. I was like, what? Are you talking rubbish again? So that's that bit done. Do let me, like I said, let me know if that's annoying, that sound. You probably can't even hear it. It's just I can hear it really loud, and I never know what the microphone can pick up. Right. So we now have to. We've got to sit and wait on that for a while. This is the downside of doing building on live streams when you've got things to glue together with mould lines. You have to sort of stop and wait. So we need to assemble the Las Impulsor, which is the big honking laser weapon. Or as Sir Hector Cerberin called it, a dirty great big laser. I like the way he did that. Which is this puppy here, the size of that. I need to assemble that. Let's get this off the sprue. I think that's what he called it. Something like a dirty great laser or a massive some real casual slang term that's quite surprising to hear in Warhammer. I can't get my nippers in there. I'm going to have to cut this off the sprue, I think. Literally cut the sprue from around it. Because it's too closely attached to the sprue. Las Impulsor. Do. Now, there is a thing in Warhammer, you know. You may not know this, but the Imperial Guard, the grunt troops of the Imperial Guard, and people like the Death Corps of Krieg and things like that, they carry weapons which are basically laser rifles. And there's, you know, Tempest to Silence have different versions. But there's all different types of laser rifle. Now, there is some debate in Warhammer as to how the name of these weapons is pronounced, because they're called LAS guns. Now I call them las guns because it's LAS guns, and a lot of people do call them las guns. But there are those who think it should be laser guns because it's a laser gun, and it's like, yeah, but there's no E after the S. It's not like laser gun sounds terrible also. So there is a big debate, and people don't get into fights about it, but the people can't agree whether it's las gun or laser gun. And I think laser gun sounds stupid, a bit like GIF. It just sounds wrong. Las gun sounds much better. So if ever you talk to me about Warhammer, make sure you say las gun, otherwise I will just have to point at you and laugh. Laser gun. Nobody says laser gun. Who says laser gun? I don't know. Who says GIF? Ponces say GIF. Numpties say GIF. It's GIF, honestly. Don't care if you invented it, you can shut up, it's still GIF. Right, so get these two bits cleaned up. Somebody's tagged me. Wendy Hickson says, question, the model making guru, plastic chrome parts, use kit or strip it? How to, please? Always strip it. Because the three reasons. If you get a model kit and it's got, like, say you buy a car, like, and the fender or the grille or whatever is plated. In Japanese kits, it's called meki plating. Sometimes you get in a frame parts on Gunpla and stuff. On other things like car kits, it's just called plating. There's three reasons you want to strip it. One, it's garbage and doesn't look realistic. It looks like a toy, basically. It makes sure you can spend 100 hours painting a car, but as soon as you stick on them pre-plated parts, it looks like a toy. 2, you can't do anything over it. You can't put washes on it. You can't put paint on it, because whatever you put on it will not stick. If you try and put a wash over it, it just won't stick. It'll just fall off. You can't do anything over it if you want to do any weathering or washes or anything like that. 3, you have to scrape the plating off to glue it to something. You can't if that was plated, I couldn't put glue on there and do that, because the glue won't stick to the plate. The plate is like you need plastic to melt plastic, and the plating gets in the way. And the fourth reason out of 3 is that you can have the most beautiful plated part in the world. Right, let's say this was a piece on a sprue. That thing, it was all plated, so it looked beautiful, and then you cut it off the sprue like that, and you've now got a big dot here where the nub is, where there's no plating, because it's just a plastic colour. And often a plated silver piece will be like black or clear or white or something. So you've got this big exposed bit, and then you think, well, I'll file it away, or I'll sand it, or whatever you do. The only way to clean up the nub is to sand it or file it or scrape it, and then you've made it bigger, and you've got no plating, and you will never ever get any kind of touch up to match that plating on that part. It'll look like a circle of silver paint, because it's electrostatically plated usually. So they look garbage. You can't put anything on them. You can't clean up nubs. This is the reason why I've never bought the I would love to buy the perfect grade Gundam Fennex, Unicorn Fennex, because it's gold plated, not literal gold, it's gold mechy plated Unicorn Gundam, and it's beautiful. The plating is fantastic. It's like mirror finish, but it's just littered with nub marks all over it, because it's white plastic underneath. And when you take it off the sprue, you get a white dot, and you can't file it, you can't sand it, because all you can do is literally nip it off the sprue, clean up with a nipper, and that's it. There's nothing you can do, and it just ruins it. So yeah, strip it off and paint it with normal paints. To strip it off, you can use, I've used Oven Pride Oven Cleaner. It's really good. Some people use bleach. Be careful with bleach. Some people, you can use Dettol, but it might take a while. If you're in the US, you can use Purple Power or green stuff, or there's oven cleaners that are also good. I find whenever I've stripped mechy plating off a Gunpla kit, it's always Oven Pride, because you can't do not do things like thinners or isopropyl or anything like that, because they may damage the plastic. Don't stick it in acetone, because acetone just eats polystyrene for dinner. So yeah, don't do that. But things like Oven Pride cleaner is quite good. Oven cleaner, stuff like that is pretty good. Yeah, strip it off and then paint it, and whatever it is, you can either, if you want to get proper chrome effects, that's a proper area of expertise. Most things you can probably get a nice metallic effect with your bog standard acrylics. If you're using acrylics, I recommend Vallejo True, what are they called? Vallejo Metal Colours. These ones, they're really nice. They're super fine grained, so they don't look like acrylic sprays. I don't recommend Tamiya acrylic. Sorry, I don't recommend Tamiya metallic colours, because they've got massive chunks of flake in them, and they just look like flaked plastic. But the metal colours are really nice. You can't go wrong with those. Try spraying over a gloss black primer if you're doing metallic colours, if you want shiny. You can, of course, go for lacquers. Things like Alclad metallics and stuff. They'll give you proper nice shiny metallic looks. That'll look a billion times better than the plating that came on the kit part, but also they are lacquer, so you have to be very careful with them. But it depends what you're doing. I mean, if I was doing a car, it'd be nice to have shiny chromed parts, but when you're squishing it down to scale, it's hard to, it just doesn't look realistic. The way it reflects, it doesn't look quite convincing, and it's not worth the hassle. And it really does make your carefully painted, expensive model look like a toy. Worst thing you can do. I can't really quickly explain how to paint metallics here, because I'm no expert. I try to avoid them. Shiny metallics. Of course, do keep in mind, if you're painting something that's not meant to be nice and clean, like if you're painting, I don't know, you're painting a car that's got chrome parts, but you want it to have some slight weathering or use, then, you can use duller, normal metal shades and weather on top, because they wouldn't necessarily be shiny and crisp. There's a lot of different things you can do. It's just, yeah, just get it off. Never keep the plating on there. The worst culprit is you can't put washes and things over it. They won't stick. And it looks terrible. Right, that's that bit done, I think. Las Impulsor. Fox, what's your thoughts on Colin's new kit, the Fox Wolf? Yes, James Chapman said. James sent him some. I'll explain this properly. James very kindly sent Colin some treats, including a kit of a Fokker Wolf aircraft, and of course he said, "Oh, it's a Fox Wolf, blah blah blah." Of course, that's my name. I'm like, wait, when did I become a fighter plane? Cool, I'm a fighter plane. Bless him. Colin and his pronunciation shenanigans. Kit chrome sucks. I strip it, says Muse. Yeah, I'm no expert on how to paint metallics and back because I try to avoid them. I don't do clean shiny kits, so I don't have to paint nice shiny metallics ever. So I've never had to worry about lacquers and things. Whenever I do metallics, it's like shiny but relative to the matte surface of everything else. They're not mirror finished, they're just slightly shiny. How's that lawnmower, by the way, guys? Is it getting on your nerves? Do I need to close the window? Why kit chrome, though? Even cut off the sprue, there are bits that are clearly noticeable as being on a sprue, says Mayhem. I know. I don't know why model makers do it. I mean, model companies. I guess it was just a way to try and make them look awesome to people when they don't know better, but then they realise it just looks like a toy. Mayhem says, Last Gun, Lost Gun, Viva Pinata. That was a good game, that. You're all typing in Las Gun, but you're not saying how to pronounce it. Mayhem says, sorry, but way back in Rogue Trade, it was always Las Gun, but that's just... Are you writing that Las Gun or Lays Gun? It's still spelt the same way. It's Las Gun. And then he says, because the G stands for graphics, not draffics. Yes. Peter Davey. Wow, Gifferan, me not bitter. Lol, Fox, you always crap me up. I hate people that say GIF. It's stupid. I don't care that the guy that invented them claims it should be GIF, because he's clearly a moron. Because it's graphical interchange format. How do you say, what letter does graphical start with? Oh, it's a hard G. Graphical. There you go. And the only people that say GIF are like Ponce, California types that just need to shut up. Media types. So, yeah. GIF. GIF, my left bottom cheek. People that say GIF are the kind of people that want to be edgy and avant-garde. It's like, no, you just sound like a spoon. Nobody says GIF. It's like my I've said it before, my old headmaster at school used to say personal stereo. I'd be like, I'm sorry, what now? What's a personal what now? What the hell's a stereo? And he used to say, he said, I used to live in Kenya. Oh, do you mean Kenya? Yeah. Just speak normal words. GIF. My eye. GIF. That's what makes me laugh there. The guy that invented it says it's GIF, and everybody goes, no, don't think so, mate. Sorry, I know you invented it, but shut up. Oh, gold plastic. Yes. The thing is, Mayhem, on the perfect grade Unicorn Fennex, it's not gold plastic, because there's two types of Bandai plastic gold. There's puke gold, which is the gold colour plastic, which is it's known as puke gold amongst builders. Or there's the Meki plated gold. The Meki plated gold on the Fennex is incredible. It looks like actual gold. It's beautifully plated, but it's also it's not undergated at all, because it's the regular Unicorn kit with Meki plating on it, which renders the whole thing pointless. We're going to need clamps for this, aren't we? It's like, you know, if I'm going to invest in a kit that's got Meki plating all over it, I sure as hell want it to be undergated all over, but they aren't. So, yes. Las Gun. GIF. As in G. It's GIF. Like Geff the talking moose, but with an I. Mongoose, not moose. Talking moose. What an idiot. Talking mongoose. Get your pseudo-historical facts right, Fox. Yeah, it wasn't Jeff the talking mongoose, it was Geff the talking mongoose. Everybody knows that. Why would it be Jeff? People and their nonsense pronunciations. Clampage. Look at the clampularity. Now this is really just to get the gap round the edge filled out, because it does have this little gap going around the edge where the two sides are glued together, which is easily cleaned up later on, but it just needs a bit of clampy just to get it all squished. It's a nice sort of 45-degree corner edge, which means it's going to be a doddle to clean up, which we like very much so. It's not like a flat surface where you've got to try and keep everything flat and level. It literally is. I've run out of clamps. Clamp. Need a clamp. Hang on. That's a peg. Don't want a peg. There's a clamp right there. A spoon. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. There you go, lovely. Oh, it's better. That's better. It's in place now. Right. Bit down there. This middle bit. Whoever's doing their lawn with that lawnmower, I actually hate them intensely. Decided. Because they're just fluffing, they go with it now, and they're just fluffing about with it just to annoy everybody. I've run out of clampy things. Can't really get a clamp in there to that centrepiece. We have to do that later. That's that we've got to let dry now. Let's have a look at chat. Simple green is great, but it can yellow some plastic, says Muse, which is fine. It doesn't really matter if you're painting over it, but sometimes Tamiya chrome looks good. It's too grainy. I mean, trust me, go for if you don't want to use lacquers and you don't want to go alclad route. Vallejo metal colours are the closest, smoothest, grain-free paints. Trust me on that. You won't see the grain at all, the fleck. You just won't see it. The gold's not so great, but the silver's, oh, it's fantastic. But do it if you want real shiny metals. If you're stuck to using things like acrylics or lacquers, go for a gloss black undercoat. If you've got gloss black UMP primer, have I got some here? If you've got gloss black UMP primer, this stuff is the absolute nuts. Absolute. This is just beautiful stuff for shiny metals. It works best over a gloss black base coat or ideally primer. You could do like a normal primer and then a gloss black paint and then silver, but the paint will stick better to a gloss black primer than actual gloss black paint. If you watch the Eagle Transporter build I did, I used gloss black primer and then some true metals, metal colours on the engine bells, and they came out looking a lot like aluminium. GSW makes a decent chrome too. I don't know who GSW are. We still need to teach Foxy how to Vallejo. Vallejo? What do you mean, how to Vallejo? I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by this? I have many Vallejo game colour paints and model colour paints, and I have drawers of them. I have a huge selection. Got like 10 drawers that size full of Vallejo colours. I may have encouraged him, sorry. It does not always sound like it. I don't know. It doesn't always sound like why. Oh, does it mean like Vallejo? I know, it's sometimes you just say it, however. Sometimes you say Vallejo, sometimes I say Vallejo, sometimes I say Vallejo. I'm pretty sure I found out from the horse's mouth that it's actually Vallejo. To people that live in that part of the world and speak that language, and apparently it is Vallejo. Oh, green stuff will, says Skull Model Abuse. Ah. There's also the temper pronunciation Vallejo. Oh yeah. Vallejo. Oh no, don't forget Ted's classic Valero. Read it again, Foxy. It does not always sound like Y. I've been told it is Vallejo. I can only go off what I'm told. You're wrong, I'm right. I know all the things and you don't. No, I'm only joking. Vallejo. No, I've heard it pronounced so many different ways, but I have been told it is actually Vallejo. Valley Jojo. Yes, there's a few other pronunciations that I won't do on a family-friendly show, obviously. Right, so we've got some bits to glue onto this. but I don't know if this is ready for cleanup yet. Possibly not. Can we put... Oh, I don't want to... It comes to a bit of a grinding halt. I don't want to end up with 55 things that need to sit for hours to dry. I can glue on the side bit and the back bit there. We could do that. I feel we could do that. That would not be a problem. I need this piece here. This piece here. Also, the bit with 3 battery packs on it, which is... I could look at the instructions and look at the number on the instructions, but it's almost pointless because there's no point at this point, at this stage. You just look at the bit on the screen and find it that way. Cause a horse is a horse, of course. No one can talk to a horse, of course. Because it's that bit there. La 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 la. Yes, no, I do have it on good authority as Vallejo, but I need someone from Vallejo to actually come up and say this is how to pronounce it. Where's my nippers gone? There they are. That's the thing, I've never heard anyone from the company actually pronounce it. So I have to say, you might be right, but I still prefer to say Vallejo. Vallejo! Because it sounds better. It sounds right. We need this piece here, number 9. But I still prefer Ted's pronunciation of Valero. Valero! It's like Spanish glamour, or Portuguese or Spanish glamour with a hint of Barrow in Furness shipyards. Valero! I love that. Valero. Bless him. Don't ever change, Ted. For some reason, I put these cutters all the way over there on the corner of my desk, and I don't have any idea why. I don't know. It is one of those days today. So, Chris, if you are in the process, you won't be watching right now, but if you're in the process of doing some painting on your eModels build, your patent Motorwagen, does that mean we can expect a video from you soon? Do tell. Do tell. Give us a timeline. Give us an idea of when we can expect content from you, my friend. On this very eModels channel. When will it occur? When will it occur? Little tiny nubs are scribbing you away. Big, massive battery packs. I like that. I've used this, not this specific one because this is specific to this kit, but there's similar things you see on various Games Workshop kits. They do make great greebles to have in various places. I'm not on camera, am I? Let's move this over there out of the way because it doesn't need to be there. Put that there. Put that there. There you go. It's better now. You can see what I'm doing. I'm having a special day today. As opposed to all the other days when I have special days, obviously. Get the file, that'll be a bit faster, isn't it? A bit of cleany. This edge stays straight, so I'm going to do the whole edge rather than just where the nub is. You're trying to keep it. My stomach's making some real rumbly noise. I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but my belly's rumbling like a thunderstorm. It's like a trapped tiger rumbling. Not that a trapped tiger would rumble. It might rumble. I don't know. Would a trapped tiger rumble? I do not know. But if it did, it would sound like my belly. I think I'm just very, very hungry. Or, as we like to call it, awake. Another way to describe that. Right, so that's them nubs gone. Then mould lines, and yeah, a few subtle mould lines that I can take care of quite handily. Like that, can you see? Might have to go in the knife blade for some of these because they're a bit tight corners. Hard to get to with the big flappity tool of Scrapulons. I get this feeling I'm being talked about in chat, and I can't look at it yet. The downside, I can feel it. People are saying things about me in chat. I can sense these things, you know. To get to these bits. Try and get rid of the mold line. Mold line. What's that secret? I can't sing that. Copyright. Shh. Not my channel, but still. Couldn't really sing that, really. But there's at least one or two of you out there that I've gone, God, I haven't heard that song in years. And you know, I've just proven that you're really old. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I am old. I'm the big 50 this year. How old I am. You know what? Doesn't bother me at all. Not a problem. Some people get really stressed. Oh, I'm old. I don't care. I'm 7 in my brain. I'm like 4 years old. It doesn't bother me at all. I feel no different. I just operate a little slower than I have done recently. I need my belly to shut up there. My belly clearly has many opinions, especially right at the moment. Yep. Clean up there, clean up there. Oops. Tricky to get the sanding sponge in there. Sponge! To get some more of these. They're getting a bit worn out, these ones. Never throw old sponges away, by the way, sanding sponges and stuff. When they get a bit worn out, they've just moved up a grit. You get like a 600 grit and it gets a bit worn out. Great, now it's a 1200 grit. Always a use for sanding sponges. And sanding sticks, not so much, because then they're rigid and hard and they don't really last long. But when these kind of things, these spongy type things, they can last you a long time. So don't throw them out just because they get a bit used. Now we've got some little bit of a mould line in between this little gap here, so I need to just carve that out with the scribulatory tool. Just so it's not blatantly obvious that there's a mould line right in that gap. Also, it helps make that gap nice and straight again and crisp because I've sanded it a little bit. Yep. Lovely. That's all right, that is. Same here. I'm going to recarve that little gap just ever so slightly, just so it looks less like there's a mould line right down the middle, and more like it's an actual, I was not to say solid gap then, but that's just a dumb thing to say. It's a solid gap. Not even a thing, Fox. I'm just talking rubbish now. Belly, shut up. Honestly, oh, I scraped the wrong bit then. My belly put me off. See what you made me do, Belly. I know you're hungry, but you can just shut up. Only got a few hours to wait, then you can have delightful, unhealthy takeaway food. If you so wish. I don't know. Belly making me scrape all the wrong scrapey bits and make mistakes. See what you did. Now, as always, if you remember, I've said this before, when you're doing sanding and scraping, if you end up with a rough, fluffy surface, just get some extra thin, take most of it off the brush, and just run it down that bit you scraped, and it will melt any fluffy bits away. You'll be left with a nice, smooth surface. If you've been doing any scraping or anything like that, just give it a quick whiz with the extra thin. It'll make everything look fantastic, like it just stepped out of the salon. Except I've just noticed more mould lines. Way! That I didn't spot earlier on. Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it, he says, being very polite. Remember, please do be careful if you're using your knife blade as a scraper. Where you put your fingers, just be mindful. A little bit of a ribbed tube. Yeah, so that needs to be cleaned up. Only a little one. Just a little tiny wee fella. There you go. Lovely, lovely. There it is. Mould line, be gone. There is a mould line on this pipe, but it's like a bundle of cables. So they follow along the edge of one of the cables, which is fine. I just need to make sure I take the mould line off the little strap that holds them together. Now, when you see like professional guys at Games Workshop painting these things, these little sort of bundles of wires, they paint one of them with stripes, and these things are like as wide as a hair. I don't quite have that kind of skill level, I'm afraid. Painting like filaments with stripes and stuff, yeah. I could do stripes, but not on something that small, because that's just insanity time, that is. Right, this goes on like that way, which is fine. My belly button was making some very strange noises. There's all kinds of. It's like my belly's making lots of like 1980s arcade game noises. It's like, I don't know what's going on down there. It just made like a 1980s arcade game pew pew laser noise. Pew. Very weird. I think my belly thinks it's currently Galaxians or something, I don't know. Or Gorf 5. Oh, hello. It'd be hilarious if you guys could actually hear it. Yeah, it wouldn't really. Right, so I'm just getting these sanded away. It's quite tricky when you're doing cylindrical things to get rid of nubs without making a flat spot. And to maintain, you could go this way. And I'm in fact going to. But I'm not putting any pressure, I'm going really gentle. And what I'm trying to do here is just confuse the scratch marks with other scratch marks so it just generally looks smoother. And trying to go in different directions because I don't want it to look. I don't want to get any flat spots, but I also don't want to get any obvious sanding marks because you can't do a lot of intense sanding on these curved surfaces because you ruin the curve. So instead, you've got to try and just like fake it till you make it and just put scratch marks down, then more scratch marks, then more scratch, and you just put so many scratch marks in the end that it looks smooth. You go with finer and finer scratch marks until it just looks smooth, basically, because you're kind of limited. In the same way that when you're sanding a flat surface, you don't want to put a bow or curve into it. When you're sanding a curved surface, you don't want to put a flat spot into it. That would be terrible. But luckily, there's no actual mark. I'm going to hold it up to the light and just make sure I can't see any obvious marks. Oh, good. 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 Anything else I can stick on? Not yet. Okay. I'll have a quick look at chat and then we'll do that bit then. Where are we? Clamps, says Mayhem. Makes me want to bite his face every time I say Vallejo. Mayhem says same as Mong, which is pronounced Mung or Mung. Yep. We say Meng. It's not. It's Mung. God, we've been doing it wrong with Zvezda kits. They're pronounced Zvezda. I didn't know that. Zvezda, because it's Russian for star, but I don't know how you pronounce a V in Russian. Zvezda. Could be Zvezda. We should all start saying them properly. From the old Slavic for star, believe it or not. Well, I knew that because they've got the star symbol on them. Gross Models, I am back. What's happening? We're repronouncing all the words. Back in the day with the stars of the Soviet modelling industry. No, Foxx, you're just paranoid. Okay. I get this feeling people are talking about me and saying I'm paranoid. Who sent me an email? I've just had some very good news that I can't tell you about yet. But Chris, that thing we were talking about last night, the second thing, it's now been confirmed. I can't tell anybody else about it just yet, but I will do it eventually. Don't worry. I've just had some very, very good news. Let's just say enormous. Right, there'll be a video just after it's finished, says Gross Models. Not today, not tomorrow, perhaps next week, perhaps later. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday soon. I hope that's cleared it up. Oh, that was me asking if we can have a painting video from Chris. Panzer's in, Panzer Coney, welcome, welcome. Foxx is nowhere near insane. No, it's just over there. I'm nowhere near it, but I'm not too far from it. Mr. Ed was a talking horse, says Mark. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. Unless that horse is the wonderful Mr. Ed. Or you're an idiot and like a raving lunatic and you think horses can talk. And then you clearly need medical intervention. Lol, says Muse. Mute! Right, so we can glue on these stickety-on bits. That's what I decided to call them, stickety-on bits, because they're stickety-on. We need to have this end that way around. It really is like an old video camera. Gonna film the news. If ever I need to like have a 1/6 scale figure with a camera, I'll just use one of these. Shut up, Fox. Right. Anyway, talking. I'm quite hyper today. I do apologise. I'm actually in a quite hyper mood today, and it just means I just babble on like a child for hours. That goes on there. That doesn't affect me being able to sand away any mould lines. So I can go ahead and attachulate this device now, which goes that way around. Lovely. Get the glue of sticulations. Stickiness. No, copyright, don't sing it. Steady, nearly. I get the impression if you had the estate of Ken Dodd coming after you, it'd be like getting hit up by the mafia, I think. I think they'd be quite vicious. Because he's such a lovely bloke. I think, yeah. You get the impression that they'd be like the mafia or something. I represent Mr. Dodd's estate. That's a very nice car. Be a shame if something happened to it. Okay, I won't do it again. Right, so this needs to go on that end. It's quite simply just sticks on there like that. Lovely. Of course, you need to make sure you get it straight because it's got the cog mechanicum on there with the lovely little skull symbol. And it'd be a bit stupid if you put it on there and it'd be like that. And it'd be like, oh, it's all one kit. No. There's no actual pin and thing saying it's straight or not. But there are two little detents there, and they link into these little bits inside, like goose feathers on an engine. That. I tell you what, if you had a greeble of that, that'd be a great sort of set of goose feathers for a jet engine of some sort. Anyway, moving on. There is a little detent, so it locks into place with every other thing, but you need to make sure you get that right. But I'm not going to glue it on now because I've got a little mould line in there that I need to clean up. So I'm not going to glue the big shield on here yet either because of the reasons. It will restrict access to this bit. But we might be able to get away with cleaning this up now. Let's have a try. Let's have a try. Animals do speak. Most people just fail to hear them, says Muse. Especially huskies. I was here at the start. I may have dozed off lounging in the sunlight, but you can't prove it, says Panzerkönig. Probably can, but it involves actually doing something. No sunburn, it's freezing outside, says Panzer. It's nice outside. It looks lovely sunny outside. I know if I went and stood in the garden now, I'd be like really cold, but it looks lovely and sunny. Right, so let's just see if we can do some cleanup of these little areas. Ooh, my area. Somebody asked me the other day to explain why I occasionally say, ooh, my area, and what that means. And it's sadly one of those things that, like when you've got like a mate and you and your mate share like an experience, like something you know of that you can make little in-jokes about. But it's only you and your mate that know those two things. Well, ooh, my area is one of those things that me and my friend Martin can joke about because we know what it means. Basically, way back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, excuse me 1 second. Excuse me, sorry about that. In the mid 2000s, I'd not been using my synthesizers and stuff because I used to do music. I'd not used my synthesizers for a while. I was looking at ways of doing music on the computer. Without spending like $500 on Cubase or Steinway or whatever it was at the time. And I was also looking at some software synthesizers because there was various things I wanted to do, but the solution that I had in my physical hardware and equipment for sequencing complex stuff was quite limited. And also, I was a bit skint and I couldn't afford a whole mess more synthesizers because I used to love the analog stuff. And I found this software synthesizer that it was supposedly able to reproduce things like various classic synths, and it was like for specifically things like the I'm going to get this wrong, it might be the Yamaha CS20, I think it was, which was, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one that Vangelis used to use back in the 70s. Big, massive thing with like 10 fans in the back that used to go out of tune all the time because it was massive. It might be the CS80 or it might be the CS80, actually, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a software synthesizer. And it didn't turn out to be that great, but it was all right. But anyway, the problem was, the funny thing was, it had a load of preset sounds. And there was lots of like classic Moog sounds and things like that. That's another thing, by the way. Moog synthesizer. It's not Moog, it's Moog. It's Robert A. Moog. There's another thing we all pronounce wrong. What's wrong? Yes, so anyway, it had lots of like built-in sounds that you could then use to make your own, because they all come with presets. And one of the preset sounds was called "Ooh, My Area," and it was just like a sound. It was like a little percussive, I don't know, analog Moog sound, but it was just called "Ooh, My Area," and that just vastly amused both myself and my friend Martin, who were doing music at the time, and it's stuck with us ever since. And the sad thing is that whenever one of us has to exclaim something or say, "Ooh, my area," we'll both get the joke, but nobody else on the planet will ever get it. Apart from like maybe 3 other people that ever knew what that software synthesizer. I can't remember which one it was now. And if you look it up on Google, there's nothing comes out. So yeah, ooh. And I never figured out why it was called "Ooh, My Area." Often things had like little names that were relevant to the kind of sound they were, like sawtooth waves and things. But this one was "Ooh, My Area." It was a random name. Found it vastly amusing and completely charming. Clear my throat, one sec. I need to drink more water, clearly. Talking for 3 hours straight can be quite taxing on your voice without a beverage to hand. Now this is quite tricky to get this filed and cleaned up in here because it's quite hard to get to. With anything, with the knife or the scraping tool or anything, it's quite tricky, and there's a little bit of a step there and I can't really clean it away too easily, so I'm just got to be careful. I don't want to soften any little curves or ruin this, because this bit has a certain fit, and if I sand any of this away too much, it suddenly doesn't sit straight and looks like garbage. So quite tricky. Can't quite get the scrapey tool in there. I can't remember what that software synthesizer. It was pretty good. It was not the best in the world, but it was a good classic analog digital recreation of an analog synthesizer, basically. It did its job. It served me well for a while, until the sad time that I got rid of all my synths and stuff and stopped composing. But until then, it did its job. Unfortunately, the thing that I didn't use it that much, because my computer at the time wasn't really that powerful to run it and any kind of recording software at the same time. I ran into the problem of having a computer in the early to mid 2000s. Yeah, that was the problem I ran into. I had 2010 aspirations, but 20 aughts technology. That's a right mess, that. No easy way to clean that up. I think with this it's going to be the glue cleanup method, which is simply just run some extra thin over it. Yeah, it's meant to be like a rubber housing, like a gasket between the two things. So, but it's really hard to get to. So the best thing I can do is scrape it away with a knife, which will make a mess, and then simply get some extra thin on it just to smooth it away. Because when that's painted, it'll be like a black rubber gasket lining, so it'll kind of be darkened down anyway. So it's not the end of the world. But this bit I need to clean up because that's obviously a solid surface. Ooh, my area. So if you ever hear me say it now, then at least you know where it's from. You won't know anything else, but at least you know where it's from. Little Foxxism. So currently, up until today, it's only myself and my friend Martin that knew that entire thing at all. So you learn something every day on my streams. Doesn't mean it's going to be a useful thing, but it's something. You learn a thing. Filing. This bit's quite hard to get to. This bit in here. Now, of course, if any of these little gaps are tricky to get to, I'm not going to need to do any here now, but don't forget, of course, if ever you're doing this kind of thing and sanding away of, you know, the glue that's filled in the gap for you, and you encounter a little bit that you can't quite get to, perhaps, you can't quite clean up very well, there's nothing to stop you putting a little tiny bit of plastic card strip down and making it look like a bit of panelling. I've done it on this build before. I'll do it all the time. I happily do it on builds. Because for little tiny greeble details, it's not cannon breaking. It doesn't really make any difference. If you're building like a World War II vehicle or something, or a real world vessel of some sort, or something that needs to look a certain way, then yeah, maybe not. But on something like this, made up nonsense, just get some plastic card. I'm not going to have to do it here, but just it's there if you need it. Right, there we go, that's that bit. Cleaned up nicely, I think. I'll get some glue on it just to smooth it. I need to get that in there. Again, half split, really handy thing to do. Don't throw them away, sanding sponges, they'll always have a use. That looks pretty good, I think. Maybe a little bit more work on it, a little tiny bit. Just as touch. There we go. I hope all this is on camera. Now there is a little bit of fluffiness there, so we need to get the extra thin. Most of the glue off the brush. And just gets rid of that fluff and makes it look nice and smooth. So once you get a coat of primer on there, it looks obvious now because you can see the shiny plastic texture. Once you get a coat of primer on there, it won't be visible at all. Also, it's really dark and you can't see anyway, but yes. I think that's all we need to worry about. I've got this side to do, haven't we? I've got this bit here. We didn't clean up earlier on. Same again. I have to say that, you know, using extra thin to clean up marks and sanding, it's only something I've known about for like the last maybe 2 or 3 years. It was a recent thing I learned. I don't know why I never thought of it before. It's kind of makes kind of sense, really. Okay, so that's looking pretty darn good. A bit of fluff there, but we'll just get rid of that. A little bit of scrape. Go away. So all you're doing, when you think about it logically, it's amazing. I never thought of it before, and I can't remember who put me onto it, but all you're doing is you're taking a little bit of fluffy. You've got your plastic surface there, and a little bit of fluff sticking up because you've scraped it, and all you're doing is you're putting some extra thin, touching extra thin to it, and it dissolves the plastic, so it dissolves the fluff away. It'd be like, I don't know, putting water onto candy floss. It would just dissolve away and leaves the smooth plastic surface behind. That's that bit done. So now that bit's done, I can stick on, or I can think about sticking on the big shield. Now, this is the challenge. 24 is that one. Do I want to glue the shield on now? Or do I want to? Let's have a quick look at chat first before I do. It's lovely looking outside from the inside, but that charm is lost the moment you step out into the cold, says Panzer. Not all of us, Foxy, says Muse. I've forgotten what I said now. What is the temperature? 2 Celsius. Well, that's cold. About 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That's brisk out. That's weird. American temperatures. What's that in normal? 35. That's about what? 10 degrees? I don't know. I don't know the conversion. Oh, it's spring. Nope. Poor Robin froze to a tree. I have a strange compulsion to buy the new Behringer clone of an ARP 2600 synthesizer, despite having very little musical talent, says Candygram. Well, why don't you buy it and send it to me, and I can put it to good use? One of my dream synthesizers when I was a young lad and had my collection of synthesizers was an ARP 2600. I wanted what did I want? I wanted a Prophet 5. I wanted the Prophet with the twin keyboards. Was that the Prophet 5? I can't remember now. It's been a lot. I've actually forgotten a lot about them. But I always wanted a Prophet and a Prophet 5. I think it was a Prophet 5. The one with 2 keyboards. I wanted the Yamaha CS80, which is I think the one that Vangelis used, which was quite simple, but all his classic Vangelis-y sounds were all based on presets from that and tweaked a little bit. Horrendously unreliable. Yeah, so I wanted a Prophet. I wanted an ARP 2600. Oberheim, OBXA, that would be great. I wanted a Fairlight. I would have loved a Fairlight, but I never had one, obviously, because at the time they were tens of thousands of dollars. I knew someone who had one, or rather my dad knew someone who had one, but I never got to see it. So, and later in, when I got into synthesizer, I did get I got a Roland W30, which was a sampling workstation synthesizer, which was probably 1,000,000 times more powerful than the Fairlight. To be fair, the original Fairlight Mark 1 or 2. And then after that, I got an Akai S2000 rack mount sampler. And again, that would be 1,000,000,000 times more powerful than a Fairlight. But there's just something about a Fairlight with its touch pen and it's what a Fairlight. What were they? Yeah, I always wanted an ARP. I always wanted a modular Moog, but you wouldn't have one of them. I've had a couple of Moogs in my time. I've had a Moog the Rogue, and I had a Mini Moog. Mini Moog? Was it Micro Moog? Mini Moog. Moog the Rogue was great. It was plastic nonsense. It was real cheap. It was a proper Moog. It was like proper vintage. It sounded fantastic, but it was just like quite simple flat plastic. A couple of flip switches and dip switches. Great though. I love my Moog the Rogue. Many a good time was had with that, with its arpeggiator and its sample and hold options, its ring modulator. Oh yeah, can't beat Moog. No one has ever come close to that classic warm Moog sound. I actually emailed back and forth with Robert A. Moog quite a few times shortly before he passed away in mid-2000s, I think it was, because we were, myself and my mate Martin, we were doing an album of Bach on Moogs. Hey, kind of, Wendy Carlos got there 30 years before us, but I was doing an album for my dad, basically, of the Brandenburg concertos. And I'd done a load of Bach stuff. Sort of my version of that kind of switched on effect. And the plan was, at the time, I had an mp3.com page. In the days when mp3.com was independent musicians and not anybody signed to a label. It was a bit like YouTube for music. You'd write some music, you'd upload it, and people could download it, and you'd make money based on downloads and listens and stuff. But then they just started doing just purely licensed artists, and then it just became a music service like Spotify and stuff. And I think it's just, I don't even know if it still exists. But I made a little bit of a living off it for a while. Most of my stuff never got any plays, but one track I did suddenly got like $3,000 worth of plays in 1 month. I'm like, hello. But so we were going to put it up on mp3.com. I needed to design a CD cover because you could listen to them online, you could download them if you bought them, or you could order it on CD because it was early to mid 2000s. So I mailed Robert A. Moog and said, hey, listen, we're nobodies and we have no money, but would it be possible for us to use your Moog logo with your permission on the album covers on mp3.com? We're going to sell like 3 copies, nobody will ever buy it. I emailed back and said, yeah, sure, go for it, I don't care. Just do it. It's fine, don't worry about it. Cool. Now, unfortunately, back in those days, I had an AOL-based email account. No, sorry, I didn't, but I used Microsoft Gmail or whatever, Windows Mail, whatever it was. I didn't have a Gmail account at that point. And then through various, computer fallovers and losses and stuff, I kind of lost that email account. So all those emails are long gone now, sadly. But I had an email chain back and forth with Robert A. Moog, Bob Moog. He was a really nice guy as well. Talked about other stuff. And, asked him lots of advice and things. He was a really nice guy. Bob Moog. I mean, what a great name. Bob Moog. So that's that bit sanded. Is that bit smooth? There's a bit of a little lumpy nub there. Lumpy nub. Yeah, and that music was my thing for a long time. I did my models, I did my drawing, but music was my thing for a long time, and writing stuff on synthesizers. But the problem was that the ideas just drained away. I was symphonic electronica was my jam until I started listening to stuff with actual orchestras, like movie soundtracks, and then I started trying to recreate those sounds and effects on the synthesizer. And of course, in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was not something you could easily do, and it just kind of sapped my enthusiasm a bit, and I lost the ability to do anything other than trying to create pretend orchestras. It died. And when it came time to make a decision about doing the model making in this YouTube channel, I thought, I need somewhere to do it. I'm going to have to just sell all my kit, my musical kit. I haven't used it in years. But let's just sell it and move on from that. So you never know, one day, if I ever get money, earn money somehow, this channel actually makes me a decent, not this channel, my channel actually makes me a decent living, I might get back into it and get some more synths and stuff. It's been a long time though. I probably wouldn't know. I wouldn't get modern stuff because I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't have a clue about anything nowadays. That's there. Quick look at chat. Just look, don't let the lack of talent stop you. Just look at what's in the music top 10. The funny thing is, right, here's the funny thing. And I tried this. I used to do symphonic electronica, which would be like Jar, or, well, more like Vangelis, early Vangelis, like late 70s, early 80s Vangelis, like think Blade Runner. And if you ever get the album Themes, it's that kind of music. It's like greatest hits album Themes. It's that kind of stuff. But what I found was, although I couldn't, with not too much difficulty, I could do complicated, deep layered stuff like that. One thing I couldn't do was like mouth breather dance music. For some reason, complicated intense stuff like that wasn't too hard for me. But actual simple, just drum and bass type dancey stuff, I couldn't do it. It was 1,000 times more difficult. And I think it's just because it was so simple. Very nice and lined up, you see. I think it's because it was so simple. That was the problem. When you've got 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 layers of sounds and swooshes and pads and everything you want, you can do a lot of creative things. But when you've got just like literally a rhythm and a bass and a lead, it's actually a lot more tricky. So I could never do dancey stuff. The one single dancey thing I ever did, well, I did two. I didn't even dance really. The one kind of thing, I did three. One was a theme tune from my local football team. I didn't care about, but I just wrote them some music and they played it at their matches. A local football team, I should say. One of them was a piece that somebody else performed one track. It came to my studio one day, just blatted out this thing on a saz sound, like a Russian stringed instrument, Turkish stringed instrument sound, and it was so good I decided to put some music behind it, and it came out with this entire different piece called Russian Microtheme, which is great. And that's my pride about Russian Microtheme is it's the theme is in 3/4 time, but the rhythm is in 4/4 time, so it's a waltz and a standard rhythm at the same time. I'm proud of that. I did that in my brain and everything. I've just glued the shield on because it looks like I can probably paint it quite easily. I was debating whether I should glue it on or not now, but it doesn't look too hard to stick on, so we'll just stick it on. There we go. And the other one was, I did a piece, if anyone's old enough to remember Hamster Dance, there was somebody had like little animated images of cartoon hamsters, and if you know what Hamster Dance was, I don't need to explain it. If you don't know it, there's no point me trying to explain it. Anyway, it used a little snippet of a Disney cartoon. I did a remix of that, and I was about to send it to John Peel for a laugh. And just as I was about to do that, because I thought I've done this tune, I'm going to send it off to places and see what happens. I'm going to send it to John Peel, and I was about to send it to John Peel for a laugh when somebody did exactly the same thing but with their own version of it and released it, and it got in the charts. And I was like, oh, if I'd done it a week before. It was literally the week before I was going to send it off to John Peel on CD. So hey, listen to this nonsense. Somebody released their own mix of it, and it got into the charts and actually made them money. And I'm like, oh, that's annoying. If I'd been a week earlier, that could have been me in the charts. It was one of them like silly novelty tracks, you know. If you know what Hamster Dance is, you know what it is. But yeah, they beat me to it by a week. That would have been potentially my break then, if that had happened a week earlier, but it didn't. So. And I only ever sold one CD. And I've got to be honest, that came back. That didn't last because it was somebody trying to use a fake card anyway, or stolen card. So it didn't get sold anyway. So I never actually even sold any CDs. I got made money from mp3.com from downloads and listens, but not a lot. But it all dried up and went away, so I sold all my gear. Every now and then I'll sit there and I'll have an idea for a tune and I'll be like, oh, if I still had my synths, would do, but nah. Can't go back. Unless I win the lottery, in which case there'll be an entire studio full of synthesizers where the garage used to be. Damn straight. Damn straight, son. Right, so we're just getting rid of this glue mould line around the edge, or this glue bead that I put in there when I glued it together. Just to make it look nice and smooth. And like one single thing rather than two sides stuck together. Now there's a little bit of texture to it, but only because I've been cautious on that bit there. But that's something that will potentially also be covered by primer and filled in a little bit. I'm just going to use the very gentle file on these little bits here, because these they're quite tricky to get sanded with a sponge. So just going over with the very gentle file means I can sand that bead of glue away. I'm left with a nice solid surface. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. That looks pretty dang good. Quite pleased with that. That's quite nice. You can still see the gap down the middle on the inside of it. I don't know if you can see it. There's still a gap down there, but I can't get to that to clean it anyway. I couldn't get to it to fill it, and we'll just have to live with that. But I can get rid of it round this weapon nozzle. And just about get the thing in there to clean up on that. And on this bit, I think. Quite tricky on this barrel because it's not only has it got like a ridged texture, it's also got hard to get to bits. It'd be better if that was something you could have stuck on separately, because then you could have properly cleaned it up, but I can't get anything in there to sand it. Having not any sanding papers. Do need to do. Clean up the actual tip though, because it looks a bit pants. So we shall. It's like we've got a little raised bit on one end of the barrel, but not on the other half, so we'll just slice it all away and clean it up. Make it flat. Make it flat, number one. Going with the smooth file. Not quite flat, if you know what I mean. I was kind of hoping the barrel wouldn't have a hole in the middle, but it does. Which doesn't really help me much, but it's not the end of the world. It's got one side is slightly taller than the other, so I've got this obvious sort of blip. I need to sand them flat, so they're just all basically flat. And it can look seamless. Unfortunately, the only way to do that is to get handy with the file. Let's get busy with the files. Bring me the files. So there we go. So we've got that. There's all the plastic powder went into the gap between the two sides. What I can do is get extra thin and just hopefully melt it a little bit. Smooth that off. Now when I do actually paint this, the little barrel there for the las impulse, so there's still a little hint of a little bit of a tiny gap, but it's so hard to get in there to fill or sand that. There's no point trying. When I do actually paint it, I'll do some like scoring on the nozzle anyway, on the barrel to suggest heat staining. So that'll kind of hide any imperfections because you'll be too busy being impressed by all the heat staining effects that are upon it. There you go. Now I can't get into this middle bit here. There's obviously you've got this plasma coil here. I can't get in there because there'll be a big seam right down the centre of that on both sides. I can't get in there to clean that. But that side, it's also really hard to actually see any seam line in there. I can sand it a little bit with the file. I can file it a little bit with the file. Just to make sure there's no little obvious sticky up ridge on the raised parts. But that's about all I can do at this point. There's nothing I can do on the recess bit because I can't get in there. I think it's hard to see that anyway. So once it's painted and got a glowy effect on it, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's chat doing? Wanders in and steals Muse's line, says Bobbins. Hey Bobbins, how you doing, my friend? I wouldn't use Muse's line. I totally didn't even notice her come in and she told me off. I got put in the doghouse for that. So yeah. Bobbins wanders in and gets slapped on the back of the head by an infuriated Muse. There you go, exactly. But it's still probably Chris's fault regardless. What a deal. Just got Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration on Xbox for 99p. I think I got it for free because it was Games with Gold for a bit. It was... oh no, hang on. There was a reason I didn't get it. I can't remember. It wasn't free, that was it. I got some of the other Tomb Raider games for free. It was one of these like limited time offers, I think, or something. Alright, not really my kind of game. I still need them to get their act in gear and get Medal of Honor Frontline back compatible on Xbox One. Seriously, guys, they need to make that happen. It's by far one of the best Medal of Honor games there were. I don't count the modern era stuff because that's just garbage. And yet, it's just not on there. Smirking childishly, says Bobbins. Right, so that's the Las Impulsor cleaned up. That will quite simply sit on here like that, you'll see. It goes under there like that. That pipe goes into there. I could glue that on now. I could. Because it's not preventing me getting to anything to paint it. It wouldn't be a problem to glue it on later because I can easily not paint in there and just... There you go. But then again, do I want it to be separate so I can... I don't know, because if I have it glued on, then I can do things like hold it here and paint it there, because it's all metallic colours. If I have it separate, I can get into the plasma coils, but I don't really need to. I'm not sold on that. I may have to wait till that glue to set and actually clean up that nozzle a bit more, to be honest. I'm not 100% sold on it. Looks a bit spunky. I have to do a bit more work on that. Yeah, should we just glue it on? We'll just glue it on. We'll just glue it on. Let's just glue it on. I'm going to glue it on. We're gluing it on now. I'm gluing it on. Should we just... I'll just glue it on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to glue it on. I'm going to use some fat glue, first of all, just to get some support. I was debating whether to have even glued this shield on to start with, but because you need to make sure when you're gluing things together that you've still got access to things to... Oh, hang on. Got a big mould line there. I'll have to clean that later. Once it's glued in. You need to keep in mind when you're gluing stuff together, if I glue this bit on, can I paint it? when it's on, and if or does it get in the way of something else being painted? Always keep that in mind. Is it easier to paint something when it's not attached? Which is, for example, why, of course, the cockpit is still separate. I can get in there to paint the bits on the seat. I can get in there. I can get that painted up without. It's harder to paint when it's in there, and there's no way I can paint him when he's in there, because if I get him mounted on a stick or something, I can paint him much easier. And also with the little side dashboard bits there, it's separate over there, because I'm going to paint them separately as well. So that it's not finished yet. But I do need to go for a great big wee. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to give you the... I'll just make sure my buttons are still working.
Get on.
Yeah, Ted's working. I'm going to go for an enormous wee. So give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to put you on the holding pattern. I'll be back in a moment. Just a moment it'll take me. And when we come back, I'll see if we can get the little final bits done. We'll see if we can get the las impulsor finished today. So I shall be back in a moment. And we are back. There you go. Lovely, lovely. That's much better. I was holding that in for ages. Never mind. Anyway, where are we up to? Chat is saying lol. Definitely just glue it. Anyone can blame Chris for anything now. He was doing good today but has lost his goodness now. Always, that means he's done something. What have you done, Chris? What have you done? Have you dropped a thing? Got to love the original Medal of Honor series, says Scale Modelling Cows. Yeah, Medal of Honor Frontline, my absolute favourite. After that, I wasn't so keen. European Assault, alright, but they tried to do a bit Call of Duty and it didn't really work. For some reason, the graphics after that got pants, and the graphics before that were kind of shonky, but Medal of Honor Frontline just hit that sweet spot. Like, the dudes in Medal of Honor European Assault just looked wrong. And we won't talk about Medal of Honor Rising Sun, what absolute garbage that was. Gee Louise, that was just the worst thing ever. Original Medal of Honor game and bullets the size of milk bottles, pure PlayStation class. Oh, yeah. So me having a bad day at work is Chris's fault, says Chaos. Absolutely, says Gemma. I don't start work for another 4 hours. Can I still blame Chris? Absolutely. What, you want to be at work now? Is it... I'd be happy that I didn't start work for another 4 hours. Right, so we have to add on some pistons, some tubes, and then the fiddly arm socket. So let's get these bits off the sprue. We need 6, 5, 16. I'm able to get this done, I think. 6 and 5, yes. Knife safety, knife safety. There we go. How's the audio and video, by the way? I know the video's a bit dark and crappy. It's because I panicked and forgot what time it was and had like 5 minutes to set up. But how's the audio? I'm trying some new audio settings, some new microphone settings. We need 16, tube number 16, which is there. I have it now. No, I'm cutting these off with my expensive nippers, but that's because they're delicate little connection points. And then we all need 94 and 93, which I shall find. They are on 94 and 93. There we go. It's 90 and 96. There we go. There they are. My only regret with doing this particular specific night is I don't get to do those bits. I love painting those kind of heat stains. I'll do it on the exhausts, but I'd be tempted to make those just to do a tutorial on how to paint heat staining the way I do. Right, so 93 and 94. How do you say 93 and 94 in German? Is it 93? 94? I never know how you do anything after like 10 in German. I haven't quite figured it out. French I'm fine with, you know. Right, so let's... Well, I'm just adjusting my chair. I'm having chair issues. It's not as warm out there now. It looks warm, but it's going cooler in here. Yes. I see what you're doing, Weather. You're trying to be all wintry again. It's not correct. Right, let's get these things cleaned up. I'm apparently not in trouble, says Chris, and Gemma says, Christopher, you so are. Oh. When you were sanding, your voice was muted a few times. Really? Oh, that's weird. I know I've got a noise gate that restricts. Maybe I was talking too quietly. I've got a noise gate on there, so as long as I talk normal volume. Because I know if I'm just sanding, you won't hear just the sanding. It probably won't pick that up. Ah well, there's no way to make it. But the problem I have is that when I'm talking at the bench, it gets a bit boomy and boxy because I'm talking directly down onto the bench and it reflects all the sound back at the microphone, which is over there. So when I talk directly to the microphone like this, it's not too bad. When I talk down at the bench, yeah, because it's a flat reflective surface, unfortunately. But hey, what can you do? You don't get that problem when I'm doing a live stream to camera because I sit over there and I'm facing the microphone, so it is a bit different that way. All technical stuff, all technical nonsense that you don't really care about. This is another ribbed tube that we need to clean up with the cleaning and the up. Is that a lid on that glue? Yes. Yes, I'm very excited about an email I've just received. I can't tell you about yet. Not yet. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. It just confirmed that something's going to be happening. Yeah. 2 things are going to be happening. Do. Again, just going to go through and scribe that mould line away where I think it needs it. And it may well be that when I prime this, I can still see a mould line down the middle. So it may well be, you know, if that happens and you're doing this, don't panic about it. Just go back and scribe it again and reprime it. Because don't forget, when you're priming a model, the primer has 2 jobs. One is to, of course, be the substrate that your paint sticks to. Because paint doesn't naturally want to stick to plastic. If it's a specific colour primer, then it can also be a base coat layer. You can treat it as your base colour layer. But it's also the thing you would use then to test the quality of your build. Like if you're making a real world car, in a real car, the primer coat goes on. If you've done any body work, the primer coat goes on, and the first thing that the purpose that primer coat serves is to see what it looks like. Because when you get that primer coat on, he said, falling over his words, if you've made a mess of anything, if you've got any lumps or bumps, you're going to see them straight away. You also have guide coat and stuff as well for that, but primer coat, one of the first primary functions is to see what the actual surface looks like. Let's get this bit glued on while it's clean. This bit goes on here. Like that. Okay, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll get it done. Going to be tricky, but we'll do it. I'm going to use the fat glue for this, I think. So yeah, when you do your primer, like I did with the Eagle Transporter, when you've filled something, it may look absolutely fantastic to your eye until you get the primer on. And then you realise, oh wait, hang on, I can see all these gaps and lumps and bumps that I didn't see before. Because what you lose when you put the primer on, you lose all the shiny of the plastic. And the shiny of the plastic can hide a lot of stuff. You know, it might be that, for example, when you've cleaned something up, like I had before, you know, you'll clean it up and it'll look filled. But what you may then find is that what you thought was actually a clean bit, or was just stressed plastic. You might think, oh, that bit's not a lump. It's just where the plastic's stressed. It's a bit lighter. What you might find is actually a lump. It just looks like a little bit where the paint's gone lighter. Because, you know, when you bend plastic and stress it, it looks like white. And you can, sometimes it's hard to tell if that's like here. You might not see, but there's a little white speck there. Now, that could be a little bit of plastic imperfection, or it could just be where the plastic's stressed because it was a nub. And if I hold it to the light, I can see it's just discoloration. But if there was any texture there, as soon as you put the primer on there and get rid of any natural shine of the plastic, you'd be like, oh, no, wait, I've got to clean that up. That is a mess. Yeah. Right, that's that bit. Next we have the little pistoniums. That's the wrong nippers. The wrong trousers. I'm thinking tonight, I don't know what Mama Fox wants, but if she wants takeaway, I might try to see if I can swing her to a Chinese. Because I really want my wonton. Wonton. With shumai. Oh. That would be most pleasant. I'm thinking about food again. My stomach's stopped. My belly stopped making all the. It's no longer a roaring tiger, but it's still there, and I'm still aware of it needing food. Okay, so that's that. A little bit of nub cleanulations. We'll have a look at chat in a minute. I'm just trying to get this done so we can maybe try and finish on having the las impulsor completed. That's that nub there. There's two nubs, I think. And a little tiny one. Nub or a rivet that's gone wrong? Maybe a rivet that I need to replace. I think it may actually be a rivet that fell off. Yes, I think I have to replace that. That'll be a rivet I need to replace then. Thanks. Because when we have takeaway, Mama Fox, whatever Mama Fox wants basically, and it's usually McDonald's, KFC or Chinese. We did find a sushi place near us that does takeout, and they're really nice, but it's crazy expensive because it's a restaurant. And so it's like sushi and pad thai and stuff like that, and it's really nice food, but they're a restaurant that are just doing deliveries while, you know, they can't be open as a restaurant, so they're charging restaurant prices. It's like, oh. So you can easily spend up to 50-60 quid just for your own meal. It's like, no, that's going to be a special occasion, birthday type thing. I think that's not something you can afford to do more than once a month. We did it on Mama Fox's birthday because it's a birthday. She can have what she wants. And she wanted stupidly expensive sushi. It was, okay, cool. It's eye-watering, to say the least. As was the wasabi, which was proper wasabi. Not like the rubbish you get in you go to Tesco's and you get their pack of sushi, which is fine. It's nice stuff, but it's like not proper. Yeah, this was proper wasabi that I forgot for a moment what proper wasabi was like. Got a big dud on my piece of sushi and blew my eyes out of my sockets. I was like, whoa! That puts hairs on your chest. Holy cow, did it ever. It was most impressive. Most impressive. These are little fiddly things to get around all the bits where the mould line is. There have to be some knife action on this one. There's lots of little raised details. I don't want to lose any of that. Because it's a piston, I can't afford to have any mould lines on the actual, well, on the piston part. On the manifold bit, I'm not really too fussed. I've only got so much I can do to scrape it away. And when I say manifold, I meant ram, of course. Somebody did tell me that the bit the piston sits in is the ram. That's the piston, this bit's the ram. I assume, I don't know. I don't do cars and things and mechanical stuff. Which is ironic given the email I've just had. But never mind, moving on. You'll find out. Eventually. And Chris, if you're still watching what we were talking about last night, you definitely need to try and go for something else. Try it, mate. You don't ask, you won't get. Again, I won't say anything, but yeah, you definitely need to do what I suggested last night. Worth a try. Right, let's give this a quick sandy. 28 minutes past 28, 26. Yeah, we might get these done. I'm going to have to replace a few rivets though, because I've had some slight rivet softulations here. Quite tricky to get to these bits. It's most critical that I get the mould line, if nowhere else, that I get the mould line away from that, the actual piston shaft, because that needs to be shiny metal. If you look at any kind of hydraulic piston, the thing can be as filthy as anything, but the actual up and down bit is always shiny and clean because it goes up and down. It's constantly being dumped into the ram full of lubricant or oils or whatever, so always clean. Always clean. Okay, done. That's that bit. Quite tricky getting that mould line off. That little raised area there because it's tiny, tiny. And little stepped bits. Much better. Right, that's that bit. I might try the old thinned glue just to get rid of any fluff. Not half. Again, if you do have little mould lines that you can't quite shift or they're really hard to get to, just see if a tiny touch of a damp, extra thin damp brush will get rid of them, because sometimes it will. That's what I'm just trying now. Little bits that I can't quite shift, can't get to them. Sometimes, if it's a very, very fine little bit of mould line, tiniest touch of extra thin will just melt it away without affecting everything else. There we go, that's that one done. Obviously whittled it away to start with. I was off sick for 2 days this week. I'm pretty sure that was Chris's fault, says Bobbin, so I hope you're feeling better, dude. Yeah, correct, says Peter Davey. What was that? 93. 94. Sorry, Pansy, you can only be blamed today. Tomorrow's another day. Slate gets wiped clean then. Peter Davey says, another chance to get it all wrong. Panzer says, Chris, you're off the hook tomorrow. Chaos says, talking about wasabi reminds me when our daughter was about 6 months old and she was trying to eat more like sucking my spicy pizza and recoiled in haste, but then 5 minutes later tried it again. Oh, God, yeah. A friend of mine used to have a Jack Russell. Whose name I forget now. It might have been Smudge. No, it wasn't Smudge. Stumps, I think it was called. He had a brother called Wicket and a brother called Bales, I think. Anyway, he had this Jack Russell who, like, you go round to his house. We go round to his house and we'll have like a takeaway or something. And if we had like a delivery, either say Chinese curry from the Chinese chip shop, or we'd actually have takeaway curry, and you'd finish your meal. You'd be sat in the front room watching telly or something with a meal on your lap. have some beers and stuff, and you'd put your plate down. And of course, the little dog, his thing was to come and get all the plates and lick them clean. You then obviously wash them as well, and it was fine. So it was always funny to watch him come in, because he'd come in, his routine being to lick the plate clean. He'd come in, he'd lick the plate clean, and then realise it was hot, spicy curry. And he'd just spend the next 10 minutes like running around, rubbing his nose on the floor and rubbing his paws on his muzzle, trying to get the spice off. It was so funny. Probably didn't do him any good, but hey, it wasn't my dog, so. But yeah, it's funny. He apparently he enjoyed it, because he'd always come back. But he'd be there he'd be rubbing his muzzle with his paws. It was so cute. Probably not supposed to give dogs things like that, but. I want a curry now. God, the problem is, like, I love curry. I love curry so much, but there's nowhere around my way that does curry, that delivers. That the problem I have is there are plenty of places that do delivery curry where I live. There's countless places I can phone up and say, bring me curry. But the problem is that 99% of them insist on putting cardamom in their curry. And the problem I have is if I bite down on a cardamom in a curry, I hate the taste so much that I have to stop, and then I have to pick through the curry and pick them all out, because the taste is like, it makes me retch. It's a horrible flavour. But when I eat a curry, the point of a curry to me is to just get it on the plate and shovel it in your face. That's rah, 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 like that. I can't be picking at curry. So it really ruins it for me. If I find a cardamom, I just have to then stop and spend ages picking them all out, so I can then carry on shoveling it into my face. But by that point, I've lost my appetite, because I can't help them but be kind of tentative and tenderly eating through it rather than just shoveling it, and it's not fun. So there's one place that my local, round the corner, kebab shop used to sell a real great lamb karahi. And it was like, oh, I love that. I could have that every day of the week. It'd be fantastic. And they didn't put. I said, I'm just really grateful you don't put cardamom in. He went, oh yeah, we don't do that. We didn't make proper curry. No, this cardamom rubbish. So, and they never did. And it was great, because I could eat that till the cows come home. But then they closed and they went away, and now it's just a burger and pizza place. I'm like, oh, that's tedious then. I've got nowhere local to me that I can guarantee, because I can say to them, can you not include cardamom? Please don't include cardamom. But then you still get cardamom. Like, oh well. Meal ruined. Makes me sad. I've not had a decent curry for ages. At least in a restaurant, I can go in, I can say, I like this, but please don't put any cardamom. And if they put cardamom in it, I can call the waiter and say, I asked for no cardamom. It's got cardamom. Can I have a replacement? And you can give them some stick and get a replacement. When it's a takeaway, once they've delivered it, that's it. You're stuck with it. Bum. Really want a curry. I don't know what it is. It's just that if I crunch down on one of them things. Oh. Now this is the weird thing, right? I used to. One of my friends taught me about putting a cardamom seed in tea many years ago. You know, you get a cardamom seed, you crack it a bit so it opens a little bit, and you just pop it in your tea when you make the cup of tea. And you leave it for a bit, and then after a little while, before you drink it, you fish it out and throw it away. And it just gives it a little bit of a flavour. And I don't mind that. I don't mind the flavour of like that infused flavour of cardamom. It's fine. But it's when it's an actual cardamom pod, and I bite down on it, and it's like intense. I don't like it. I just don't like it. Don't like it. So, yes. I'm sadly lacking for a decent curry, I'm afraid, for the last few years. There's somebody hammering outside, and they're being very mathematically precise about it. Well, they were. Like, you know, when somebody hammers and they kind of go dum, 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 and there's like different gaps between the strikes. This one was like dum, 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 dum. Perfect timing every time. Cool. This man hammers and also plays drums. What's chat doing? We named the new dog we got a couple of weeks ago Wasabi because we couldn't think of any good names. If I ever get a cat, I'm going to call it Burp. But its full name will be Burp the cat. And at uni, we had a cat that loved tandoori chicken takeaways. We would find spotlessly clean chicken bones strewn around the kitchen the next morning. Ooh, tandoori is the best, yes. I haven't had a decent curry/Chinese in 3 years, says Mayhem. Oh, no. There's a restaurant near me, like half a mile away, it's so bad. It's just like cheap tat, and it's a curry house. And it's not classy at all. And the food is basic. It's not anything, but the thing is, they just give you this big plate of it, and it's not exactly expensive. And they do lassi, and it's just like I could go there every day. And they change names every couple of years because they keep getting closed down for health and safety. It's kind of tradition. That when I was a wee kid, it was still there, and they'd reopen under a new name about a year later, and they come and go. But yeah, they've been open for quite a few years now without falling over. I fancy going there. As soon as we can do again, I can meet with my friends. 2 things I need to do. I'll go to the pub for an all-day Sunday session with the smooth ales that I can milk all day long. Go in at lunchtime, go home at bedtime. Proper Sunday sesh. And also go for a good curry in that local place that's terrible, but does good curry, because they don't put cardamom nonsense. They barely do anything that doesn't come in a can, basically. But they did have cheesy curry at one point, which was, it may have been like, it sounds really weird, but it was something like cauliflower cheese curry, but it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's curry, it's cheese, and it's cauliflower. You think it's a dangerous combination, but it was actually fantastic. Right, so there you go. I'm not going to clean those knobs up yet, because they can be cleaned up later. We need to attach these 2 pistoniums. This is still wibbly wibbly, but as soon as we attach these pistons, that wibbly wibbly comes to an end. I think. Because they lock it in place. You can choose where you want it, but they will lock it in place. I think I should just glue it at the natural extent, to be perfectly honest. I can still get in there to paint everything, it's not a problem. There we go. Touch of glue there. Touch of glue there, and a touch of glue. Get that one on that side. And also this one on this side, yeah, das ist richtig. Oh, spinny. So yeah, you do have to fix the pose. You kind of fix it into a pose at that point. But that's just for this bit. It's like the elbow flexion is fixed then forever. So I can go ahead and glue that bit down there just to give it extra support. But you can still turn this bit, and when I've decided what pose I want him to have, because I need to glue that together to get rid of that gap, so when this is all glued I can go in and clean that seam up, but I can't do that just yet. The next thing is this bit goes on top, and this is the shoulder joint of the shoulder, which again is, how does this go together? It goes together very well, thank you. That goes in there, and that piston sits in here, and that goes there, locks together. And what you have then is you have the joint there and the joint there. Theoretically, it only goes a little way. I could leave that as it is, but I will glue it in place. I'm not going to leave it unglued, but I do need to glue this together because I need to seal that gap. So what we shall do is I shall bring in the feet and also the torso. Ja, das ist richtig. Can go there. This will sit in there like that. Should sit in there like that. that will sit like that. Going to fall over a bit, obviously, because it's all leaning to one side. So what I could do is that will be there like that, and I can have it angled out like that, or maybe not that far because the thing will pop out. If I decide I want it, say, there, that will work perfectly. So what I need to do is kind of glue it in, not into the torso, but just kind of glue it in that pose for the moment. So the best way to do that is to hold it where I want it. And glue these two bits here. I've got a lot of cleanup on that bit to do. Glue those two bits there. I can put some glue in here to glue this rotation. Let that sit for a bit. I'll take it back out. I'm not gluing it into the actual torso. I'm just gluing it in place here so that when it's done, I can still rotate the arm, but it's not going to be doing anything weird. I know you probably can't see much right now, but trust me, it's all awesome. So we can leave that there for a minute. This just needs to lock in place and set. I can come up and clean this gap up later. Once that's glued there, I'll do it now, to be honest. Up there. I can squish it with some clampy. Maybe. Just to get that to squish a bit. Not really going to work because I can't quite push those two bits together. It's worth a try. Nearly. Ow. Yeah, I can't quite push these two bits together. Oh, yes, I can. There we go. Squish. I did that, a dog started barking. That was weird. Very strange. Can I clamp it from the rear? Will that be better? You were, matron? No. I don't think where I can get some leverage to clamp it. Yes, there's the only place. Not really clamping them together. Oh, it's doing it a bit. That'll be alright. Yeah, so that's on there. That's glued in place. That's the pose glued in. Position glued in. I'll rotate it a little bit. Just a touch. Yeah. That's kind of cool. Got a slight angle to it, which looks kind of interesting. I shall leave it on there. I'm not gluing it into the torso. I'm just literally, for the moment, gluing these things in place here. Because I've got to go up and the bit that's gone into the torso, I've got to glue that together later on and then clean that gap up, even though you can't really see it. Got that gap to clean up. So that can sit there. But I think, as that's as much we've done today, I think that's as much we're going to get done. We've only got 15 minutes to go. What I think we'll do is leave it there, call it a show there. I've got the carapace that we've done. Got all the other bits and bobs. I think we'll leave it there. I'll have that cleaned up by next time, or I'll finish up the cleanup next time. A quick last look at the chat. La 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 la. We are on our third pet hamster. First one was called Cookie because she looked like the colour of cookie dough. The second one was called Roll because she was the same colour as the inside of a roll. Ah. The third one is called Milo. The child wanted to call him Snupov the Cloud, so his full name is Cloud Milo Snupovich. Snupovich. Snupov the Cloud. I like that. I make my own Thai red curry. I can't find any place that makes it better than me. Thai curry is a bit different. You don't tend to get cardamom in Thai. Oh, yeah, I was going to have a Thai curry. In Aberdeen, all the curries taste like the smell of fresh plasticine. That's not very nice. Aberdeen! When you go for this Mad Sunday session, is Mama Fox going to go out and paint the town red as well? Mama Fox is 82. I don't think she'll be painting the town red. No. I like the name Snupov the Cloud. Why Snupov the Cloud? Where's that come from? Snupov the Cloud. I get the cloud bit, but why Snupov? Cloud Milo Snupovich. Cloud Milo Snupovich. Best said in token Russian accent. I was set to top chat. The idiots that phone me when I have streams to watch. Foxx needs to put a seal into the gap. Poor seal. My son had a pet hamster and apparently didn't feed it because they found it dead with a mouthful of its bedding. Oh dear. My brother used to have 3 hamsters in a cage, and he went away for 2 weeks, and when he came back he had 1 hamster in the cage. I'll just leave that one with you. I've drawn a line under it though about the hamster. This is the last hamster for a while because as usual Muggins here is the one that cleans them out as such, of course. The Knight Preceptor looks impressive, but I bet Guthorm could take him on if needed. Yeah. Guthorm would be like, seriously starting? You think you can have it? And he'd be like, you what, my son? And he'd be like, come on then, because he hasn't got his slappity hand on yet. When he's got his slappity hand on, yeah, then Guthorm might have a problem with that because he's not got any slappity hand. I don't know why he talks like, ooh what, my son? Ooh what? Mayhem says, Sagan in it. Jeff, the beam of doom. I prefer self-cleaning pets like the next door's cat. See, well, Edward has the best pet of all because he's got his 3 jellies. That's what jellies do. They don't make that noise. Sounds like my wife. She wants all the animals then doesn't take care of them, says Edward. Yep, she's also wanting a dog too, and I'm like, no, because you're the kid, because you or the kid won't walk it, says Mayhem. Yeah, just get them a pet rock. A lot less hassle. Anyway, I think that's going to do us. We've done quite a bit of work today. Say me, I've done all the work. You've just sat there and looked pretty, which you do very well, I have to say. We've got a lot done today. I'll say it again, I've got a lot done today. I shall be back next week, next Friday, of course, to carry on. We've got to make the slappity hand. And once the slappity hand is made, that's kind of it, apart from cleaning up some armour parts that we're not going to glue on, probably. That's kind of it, then. Until we can go ahead and paint. Now, like I said before, I don't know when the painting will be. I'm waiting for eModels to get all the relevant paints in stock again. They've got some, but not all of them. I don't want to use stuff that's not actually in stock, so maybe to restock on this. So they are waiting for more Games Workshop restocks. They will be coming if you have been waiting. They are available now. You can email eModels again. They're back up and running on the phone line, so if you need to get hold of them, do give them a call or send them an email if you need to know when something is back in stock. But I know James Mate said he had been chasing the Games Workshop restock, so don't panic. I will be back, of course, on this channel next Friday. I think there may be more content coming up throughout the week, next week, potentially from Colin, but I'm not sure. Of course, don't forget, we've got Carl's ambulance build is underway. I hope we'll have some content there soon for this channel. And we haven't announced it yet, but we may as well do it now. Andy Nevbo has got a couple of builds on. He's back again. He's back with us after a small hiatus. He's back. He's got a couple of cool builds on the go. So I won't tell you what they are, but we'll let you know in time. But he's got a couple of builds as well. So do keep out. And of course, Colin's got his ball tank, which he's been working on finishing up. And Chris has got his Benz Auto Wagon Patent Wagen thing, and Ted, of course, has got the world's biggest model in the world, the Titanic, which is ongoing. So we're all working away on our builds. I'll start on this as soon as I can, as soon as they've got the stuff in stock. So there is more to come. Don't you worry, more stuff to come. Until then, though, I'm back at midnight tonight on Colin's channel, Festa67's Workshop. Make sure to come along at 11:55 p.m. tonight, not midnight tomorrow. 11:55 p.m. tonight for me and Colin, just larking about for 2 or 3 hours till the wee small hours. Colin's working on his insane Bane blade, which is the size of a house and probably as many things in it as a house. And I'm working on probably my Space Wolves. And then tomorrow, of course, it's Skyrim Saturday. Tomorrow I'll be back at 3 p.m. on my channel to play some Skyrim with you guys. And then on Sunday, it's Warhammer Sunday, of course. I'll be back at 3 p.m. then to crack on with my Space Wolves. And we've got Colin's got his stream at 12:30, and Chris or Ted at theirs in the evening, and other streams, and Dad as well at 6 o'clock. So loads of streams on Saturday and Sunday. Weekends are always great times for streaming content. But I shall see you, some of you, tonight at midnight on Colin's channel. When we do that. But until then, I shall say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, of course, eModels.co.uk. Hang on, let me take a swig of water. Don't forget, of course, nothing to see here, move along. Don't forget, of course, eModels.co.uk is your one-stop shop for all your model making, all of them, all of the needs. All of the needs you have, all the needs you might not even know you have, and all the needs you have in the future, and all the needs you've had in the past. eModels is your one-stop shop for all of those needs. So go and take care of them. Do check it out. Don't forget, of course, the storefront is reopening. The actual walk-in counter store, customer counter, although it's a working warehouse, the customer counter is reopening from Monday. So if you're local or you're planning on going in, make sure you do it from Monday onwards, not before, because they'll kick you out and throw you away. If you turn up before then, they'll be like, go away, can't let you in, go away. Yeah. Anyway, take care of yourselves. I shall see you all soon. Take care. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. You already are. You know you're awesome. But I'll just make sure my buttons are still working. Hang on, let me try a TED test.
Slap it on.
Yes, TED confirms buttons are working. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome, like Gutholm's awesome. And until next time, I shall say, I've got nowhere to put my hand to wave. Adios, amoebas.